Hello, and welcome to Jason Cabin's Experience. Our guest today is Natasha Petrovich. Natasha, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get started, I'm going to have to chastise Natasha a little bit. So usually what happens in these podcasts, people send me their bios. I use a bio, the social media, like do talking points, right? So Natasha really busy, couldn't do it, right? So this is going to be straight off the cuff, no talking points. So you don't have
Right
to,
here.
we just have to have the bio having the talking points. I ask a question and my mind goes rapid fire. And whatever question ends is what I ask, right? So this is gonna be totally off the cuff.
I love it. Let's do it.
So what do you do for fun?
Travel is probably my number one. If I can get somewhere on a beach, that's definitely top of the list. Do love to do tons of snorkeling. Actually gonna be going on a trip soon, and my guy and I got some underwater scooters. So it's like the little James Bond thing, and you just scoot around 5 miles per hour underneath. You don't have to.
So you're like on the ocean floor with a scooter?
You can. I mean, as long as you can. I mean, we're snorkeling, so as long as you can hold your breath,
Okay.
you can go. But because you're not exerting any force, you just hold on to it. You're not pedaling.
It sounds like that's scientific and impossible. Like how does that even work? Like is it battery power, like gas? What?
It's battery powered. It's electric.
The water doesn't fuck with it or not?
No, and you charge it USB. So
Okay.
it's not. It's like 5 pounds. It's like this large, and you just hold on to it, and it pulls. And actually, there's a contraption where you can attach two, and at even higher speeds. Lasts about 45 minutes, so it's not an incredibly long time.
Okay. But it's definitely a cool factor thing to do.
Yeah, I'm guilty.
And how long y'all been snorkeling?
Full time. Like now, every time we go on vacation, we're really focusing on trying to find new places to go. So I probably say only a year and a half when we discovered those scooters.
Okay.
I have some ear canal issues, so I have to get that checked out before I can go scuba. So this is probably the best, second best way to do something under the water without me having to, get certifications or have to go way low.
And so I know scuba dive, you have to get certified, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Snorkeling, you just jump in the water and do whatever.
Yep. You put your goggles on, put your little snorkel in. Honestly, half the time I go under, you just hold your breath, and then when you come out, shoot out your snorkel. And you can stay up on the top, but that's where the turtles kind of hang out.
Yeah.
Stingrays, a lot of good little fish or anything hiding in the.
And that's what y'all did in San Diego. You just came from?
That was actually a trade show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was business. Okay.
That was business.
Okay.
Next week though is Costa Rica.
Oh, wow.
And we're gonna check out on that side. There's gonna hopefully be some flamingos this time of year. We'll see. I'm not sure yet.
I've never been. I always heard Belize is like a great place for snorkeling, that kind of stuff.
I've heard great things.
Yeah.
I kind of stay more on the Caribbean side.
Okay.
But hopefully expand it. Definitely. That'd be great.
So is this like an expensive hobby to do?
No, because once you buy the contraption, that's it. Yeah. I think it's the best way to save money because no matter what, you're going to have it.
And I'm guessing you can't go snorkeling off the coast of Washington or Alaska, right? You have to do like a warm city.
I mean, if you're brave and you have a wetsuit, you could.
Well, the water's pretty dark here though, right?
Yeah. And cold. It's just
not.
I don't know if it's worth it. Maybe there's some people that do it and they're great at it. Maybe you could go get some crab down there. I'm not sure. That's actually.
So what's the craziest like creature or thing you've seen while snorkeling?
Well, I'd say the stingray was probably the coolest because it did just kind of pop out of nowhere. However, I had gone to the Grand Caymans and they have a ton of lobster.
Okay. And
the water is 90 degrees. And so you got these little lobsters like just kind of popping out of little holes, but they're, I don't know, 10 pounds, 5 to 10 pounds in these. So they have a lobster season.
Okay.
And I think it's almost starting now. But when I went back a few months ago, they were still little babies, but there's tons of them and you can't touch them, but they're right there on the floor. If you wanted to give them a little pet, you could, but I definitely wouldn't do that for anything.
Yeah. So what's on your bucket list of places to go snorkeling?
I think it's going to have to be the Great Barrier Reef.
That's in Australia?
Yeah. And so, I mean, you can snorkel off of it. And then that is if I can get that scuba, I would love to get a little deeper.
Yeah. Is that hard to get?
No, it's going to be a little expensive, however.
Okay. Yeah.
The trick is to try to go to another country and do it a lot. I've heard like Thailand's one of the greatest places to go and get your scuba license. Yeah.
So you always been interested in the water?
I guess so. I've never really realized it. I've always been a coaster. I grew up in Chicago, but that big lake is so large.
Yeah.
I've even had visitors be like, what ocean's that? And they're like, no, that's not the ocean. We're talking like people out of the country.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you sure that's not part of the ocean? No. So grew up right off there. I had a great aunt in Pismo Beach, California. So I'd go out there every summer as a kid and play on the beach there. And no matter where I am, I have to live on the water. So even here in Seattle, I'm look out the water every day, just hello.
Yeah. To me, like, you know, I don't care what your troubles are that day. If you just go listen to some waves on a lake or ocean, there's like all problems that seem like it just go away. Just so therapeutic, so to speak, you know.
Exactly. And when I come home, especially from like business trips, I actually feel more like I'm going on vacation when I'm home in a sense, if that makes.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So you're born and raised in Chicago?
Yes. On the whole loop. I moved the whole around. So I've been to both baseball stadiums, basically, is where I lived. And then Greektown, a little bit on the north side. And then then I ended up in Seattle.
Okay. So Petrovich, what ethnicity is that?
It's Serbian and Russian.
Okay.
Basically means Peters.
Okay.
So
have you ever been over there?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I had one of my cousins from Kosovo come in, but hopefully someday I get over on that side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think most people, they think of Chicago, they think, of course, wind, the cold, the crime on the south side. But I'm sure it's like more to Chicago than that, right? Can you talk about some of your experiences growing up in Chicago?
I mean, food is really number one. It really is. If you're going to go to Chicago, I mean, of course, like the pizza, the cheese, and all of our cheese seems to be coming from Wisconsin. Thanks, Wisconsin. We call her squeaky cheese. The little nibbles of like white cheese, and you eat them up, and that's it. You don't do anything with it. So yeah, the pizza's number one, I think. And you have your hot dogs, but main part is the meat packing district from way back in the day. That was the hub for the railroads, right? And so they know their steaks. So if you get a good steakhouse, get something real juicy, get a nice ribeye, highly recommend. And then go to the speakeasies. So when we talk on the drinking side, yes, you get all those little Al Capone coves, go through the alleys, find a good cocktail place, and you're never bored because every like couple storefronts or whatever is going to be a good restaurant or bar, lounge. And what's nice about nowadays is mocktails are getting larger in popularity. And so even if you're not a drinker, you're still going to have fun, and they're still going to find ways for you to feel a part of all like the drinking scene that's down there.
Now, like, I've been to some like cold places in my Army career, like Korea, Germany, Kansas, but Chicago is up there as far as cold, right? Like that wind cuts you through, right? It's it's not no joke.
I don't miss the Chicago winters. January, February, your eyeballs freeze. Like you literally have to close your eyes sometimes. And technically, your little key fob on your car says don't start below whatever is 20 degrees. And you're like, nope, not going to happen. I'm still going to do it. I'm risking it. And just going out, trying to warm up that car for 10 minutes. When I was in school, that was probably the hardest part. You're defrosting everything. And you're like, I just want to go back in bed. But yeah, it's rough. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the lake freezes. So sometimes the waves will come up. And it just creates this
frozen and
beautiful icicles.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
And do people like go ice skating on the lake when it freezes?
It doesn't quite freeze that much. It's more of the edges.
Okay.
But there's plenty of lakes to do that on and sledding. But I don't know, with all the weather changes. As a kid, I feel like I had more snow where you could play in it.
Yeah.
Where now I feel like when it does snow, it's like freezing, just like the harder compact. And I'm sure the meteorologist could figure out what that is. But
scientists or something.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if anything's changed with that. The lake I used to skate on, definitely only like half the lake is available. A lot more winters I've noticed, because I still go see my dad, and it's like right there when I
so you still have family there and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. How often you go back to Chicago to visit?
Almost every other month.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's good. And it's usually cheap flights. Get there.
Yeah. Like people complain like flights expensive. Like of course you get a flight today, it's gonna cost a lot of money. But if you do like some prior planning, like 2 months ahead of time, it's pretty reasonable, right?
Exactly. No, I totally took advantage of the Black Friday deals,
Oh yeah. And the thing, like, it kind of makes some sense. Like you seem like, if I want to get a flight today and there's like 10 seats available, I will get a cheap flight so I can fill a plane versus charging me all this money, right?
You'd think, I don't know what their algorithms are anymore. I remember back in the day, you were told, well, if you wait the whole time and you go to the desk, they'll give you a really good deal.
Yeah.
And like, I don't remember hearing anything since
Yeah.
like
And
the
they say,
90s.
you know, if you like, you know, clear your cookies on your computer or use a different VPN, like do your VPN like you're from like, I don't know, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, you get a cheaper deal or all this crazy stuff. Like I don't have time to do that, right?
I know, right? And you know, maybe you try going on one of those third parties to like at least search without affecting the prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you
I don't know
have
if they know.
you have a favorite airline you fly, or you just do whatever's cheapest?
I do prefer anything in the one world area just because when you do pick just a straight path, you're gonna get all those benefits on whomever.
What airlines are those?
So I do prefer American, Alaska,
Okay.
their partners. British Airways, Aer Lingus. I want to say Air Canada is part of it too, but
I fly Alaska a lot. I'm a big fan of theirs.
Yeah, everybody's amazing.
So my daughter works at Southwest. So I used to try to fly Southwest, but their prices are just fucking outrageous now.
Yeah.
And they used to have a direct flight from here to Dallas, but they got rid of it. So like I'm not paying $10,000 like, you know, travel from here to Denver, wait 6 hours, and you know.
No, and still fight for a seat. And I feel like I'm going on a bus. Like, hey, is this seat available? Like, is this okay? And I'm a tall person. I need my aisle seat. I was like, I just want to make sure.
I like Alaska a lot.
Yeah.
And of course, I think my worst flying experience was well, it's funny now. It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny then. So I was stationed in the Army in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. My former boss was getting promoted to full-board colonel. So I was going to fly from Columbia to Washington, D.C. to his promotion. Ooh. But I could only find a flight on Spirit.
Yep.
And so I had no idea about Spirit, right? I had no idea, right? I got a round trip ticket. I flew on Spirit. As soon as I landed, I got a flight back, another airline coming back. I said, I would never fly Spirit again. Like, I was fearful for my life. It was like, what in the fuck is going on, right? Like, how are you even allowed to fly by the FAA? This is incredible.
I don't know. And it's them and there's a couple other airlines where you have to pay for your carry-on.
Yeah.
And, you know, nickel and dime. And I believe, if I remember correctly, I heard that Frontier is getting bought out by someone.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
And I'm curious how they're going to change that system or not.
Mm-hmm.
But as a customer, like, especially when you see all the old videos from back in the day when they were carving turkeys on the plane and handing it out, you're like, and you get upgraded the first that couple times and you're like, this is how you're supposed to be treated as a customer. And then like, just everybody shove everybody in the back now.
Or way back in the day, they're serving first class meals everywhere. They're like handing out cigarettes, lighting cigarettes.
It's like running up and down the aisle.
Yeah. Wow, this is not supposed to be, right? Now it's like cram or into a cattle, right?
Yeah.
But I always like, get the economy plus or a small upgrade. I mean, those extra 2-3 feet makes so much a difference.
It really does. Or even just the recline too. And I love how some companies even tell you like, hey, you're on a 737 and there you have a 4-inch pitch, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to get, you know what you're going to get. Where there's some other companies, you're like, okay, that's it. This might be your plane. That's all we got for you.
Yeah.
Good luck, everybody else.
Can't tell you a seat yet, you know.
Yeah.
You might be in the front, you might be in the back.
Yep.
Hell, you might follow. You might be flying the plane.
Right. Now you get the toilet seat. I'm sorry, it's blocking.
You're in the jump seat.
Yeah.
Actually, one of our stewardess called in sick. We need for you to pass out snacks.
Now I would pay off my ticket that way, maybe.
Yeah.
Put me to work.
Yeah, definitely. You go to Chicago every month. That's good. So you just came from a trade show in San Diego?
I did, yes.
How was that?
It was excellent. It was a medical trade show. So I've actually been working trade shows for over 20 years. And between the bartending that I do now and the trade show work that I kind of am doing since post-COVID, it hasn't been quite the same business since pre-COVID. But I also do barista work. So I help the trade shows set all that out or do any other assistant work out there. So yeah, I did just come back. It was beautiful, 70 degrees. It came into what, 45 now? Which is, I know I sound like I'm whining from Chicago. It's like not 16 or 32, but
it's so cold, especially the rain, the gray skies and stuff. Yeah.
And I do love it here compared to, at least I'm getting gray skies and rain than snow. And the snow's pretty. I love the snow. The Christmas time is great, but especially again, once January starts, it freezes, it gets dirty, and there's just nothing fun about it.
It's not. For these trade shows, you have to pay to go to trade shows. They're paying you. How's all that work?
They're paying me as like a booth assistant, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's say if you ever go to an auto show, you do have some of the speakers. I have done that as well. I've done MC work where you go around the car. You tell everybody, hey, this is the Jaguar, et cetera. And this has the new assist parking. And then you just go around telling people, oh, hey, like we partner with these, let's say you have Ford and you have Jaguar. They're kind of like together. And you're like, oh, well, if you like this car, go check out, our other brands. And they're very long days.
How many days was this trade show?
The trade show I just worked?
Yeah.
That one's only 3 days.
3 days. Okay.
The medical shows are usually
and it's like 9 to 5 or something like that.
Typically, if you're really lucky, you get like a 10 to 3.
Okay.
You can get some very long ones though, which can be 8 in the morning to 6 p.m.
And they're like, I'm guessing there's like after parties you're supposed to go to, or like networking events, or like, such and such booths hosting this get together, this place somewhere else.
Right. And there's usually a sponsor or two that are going to be telling the whole convention center, hey, come to our party because we want you to know about our brands a little more. Yeah. Thankfully, as a trade show hostess is sometimes or assistant, whatever niche you fall into, it's kind of interesting because there really is no exact job description.
Okay.
You really are a Jill or Jack of all trades when it comes to that. You just jump in, they give you your footnotes on the business, and you're either trying to sell whatever they're selling, trying to collect contacts.
So this has nothing to do with your bartending business.
Nope.
So how do you get this opportunity? You just doing it for a while and people reach out to you for it, or?
There are agencies that hire for that. And so I'm still attached to those agencies, or the clients had worked with me for so long. And let's say those agencies did end up falling, unfortunately, because of COVID, they're still calling me directly. And because a lot of times I am doing the barista work in those booths, it's very similar to bartending.
What's barista work?
Oh, coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Okay,
Coffee service.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So we have the full espresso machines, making everything from, just little espresso shots to specialty, like cocoa mochas or whatever you're doing. Like the last one I was doing was just hazelnut mochas. Yeah. Or chai lattes.
And so these trade shows, what do you get out of this personally and professionally?
Mostly professionally. However, it's kind of like a traveling circus. All my best friends I started off working trade shows with. And so what's really nice is like a family reunion. When you go to certain shows, you see everybody again. You even will call, hey, are you working RSNA? RSNA is like a restaurant show in Chicago. And it's one of the largest ones. And you come home with all these samples and everybody wants to work it because of that. And you get to see everyone. So you're like, hey, you working this show, and you try to find everybody and connect again. So that side on the personal side is great. But on the business side, you learn a heck of a lot. It doesn't matter what the trade show is, if it's about pets, if it's about beer, if it's about we've done colonoscopy shows. Like I could tell you stories. So you see everything and you just learn as an outsider, but you start to absorb it kind of as this interesting middleman. I know how almost every little step of getting LASIK eye surgery now, because you just watch the videos while it's slow and you talk to everyone in the booth and you talk to other customers and clients. And it's just so intriguing on how every job you have is different. So your office is never boring.
And they pay you like by the hour, by the whole trade show? How's that work?
It's usually a day rate. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they fly you out. They usually take care of your hotel and stuff.
They pay the per diem, all that kind of stuff?
Most of them do. Yeah.
Okay.
So some smaller ones, they don't. They do look for local only. And then sometimes you're like, okay, well, maybe I won't this time. Or if it's in a city where like one of my friends do live, then we do crash at their house, and then we'll go together.
And how long you been doing this?
20 years. Yeah. I did it straight out of high school.
Man, you've been hustling for a while.
Yes.
So this like let's suppose you're not doing your bartending. Do you make a living off doing this?
I was, yeah. Unfortunately, until COVID.
Okay.
And then since COVID, there's not as much person to person.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do Zoom. I think changed it all really too. When they did try to get the trade shows back, if you look up on Google, the first CES, when they opened back up again, there were booths that were empty.
Yeah.
And just a couple little signs. People didn't even show up. And it was very depressing. And also boring because no one was there. So you couldn't talk to. And they're 10-hour days. So when you're just twiddling your thumbs.
That'd be boring.
Yeah. And it's one of the most interesting trade shows you ever go to because it's all the future tech that's going to come out. I remember when the 4K curved screens were at CES, I was like, huge. Like this whole wall is curved.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like, oh, $40,000 is this TV or whatever it was. And you're like, oh, okay, well,
out of my
I'm going to keep
range.
looking. Yeah.
Out of my price range.
Yeah. That's like,
let me wait 6-7 years until it goes on to $400.
Exactly. Some people make that as their year salary. Right. Yeah.
And so what's the next trade show you're doing?
Not sure yet. Typically this was kind of the last show of the year for the season. There are a couple other shows, but auto shows do start up in about January, February. I kind of stepped away from that because it is more of a full-time gig where I do own my own business now, and that's not something I can really do anymore. So March is probably.
And so like this on average, like how many like requests or invites you get per month? And then how do you decide from those number of invites which one to go to?
How much are they going to pay me? It really just comes down to price. Yeah.
So does it matter the location?
No.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And well, I mean, if the location, if they're paying for it, I'll go anywhere. I have actually worked in like Germany, Barcelona, UK, because
nice.
They pay for the trip. I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
And you pay half, you spend half your paycheck extending your trip and doing whatever. But yeah, again, you meet new people, you learn many things, and you get to travel.
So for people listening, how do they get involved with this? I mean, this seems like a fucking great thing to do, right? It's like exciting, you meet different people, travel. Like I've never heard like this before. I always thought these trade shows suppose there was a beer trade show. I always thought the Budweiser had their people speaking, I didn't know it was like people like you doing this. Like, so how do people get hired for this?
So a lot of it is through modeling agencies and talent agencies.
Okay.
LinkedIn, I've heard some people get their jobs through it too. I'm not on LinkedIn really ever at all anymore. I remember when that first came out, I think I was on it for like 3 years, and then it's kind of trickled away just because I just find email faster, personal.
Yeah.
I have ADHD. So for me, this is like the perfect jobs is my office again is different every time. So you have to be able to just multitask, wrangle cats is what I call it. When you're taking adults that are at a trade show, they do the museum head thing. Right. So they're all looking up. They don't know what's going on. And so you have to, your main job for trade shows, if you're considered like a booth host, is getting people into the booth. And so they want like, hey, doctor, come on in. Have you checked out XYZ medication? And they're like, oh, no, I haven't seen this yet. So then you take them in and then you connect them with someone who actually works for the company. So it's this whole like interesting underground, again, I call it a traveling circus because we're just amazing people who connect with humans, and you need to be able to socialize and read every single person from around the world. And everyone has different cues, mannerisms, or even just cultural changes. Like there are certain people that women can't touch. It's just interesting. So there's like, you can't shake people's hands. So you have to recognize who those people are that you can't shake a hand, or sometimes, international people might not get a slang word. So you have to start speaking a little more open-mouthed or talk slower. And you just have to read the room. And sometimes you get creepers too. And the creepers come.
I can.
Those are the hardest, because then they're just, and the clients are like, what is this person just chatting away? And then you're trying to get them out. You're like, no, I got to get to someone who's actually serious and whatever.
So you might notice, but an average day, like how many people walk by the booth and how many people can you convince to come into the booth?
The last trade show I just worked at, this one, because that one when I was doing the barista stuff. So that one wasn't getting people in the booth, but I made 400 cappuccinos, espressos a day.
That's a lot.
Pumping, yeah. On a fast show, Yeah, I could talk to 600 people a day,
Okay.
probably. It depends if you're having full conversations or just trying to get someone connected to another person in the booth. So again, every job is different in every single booth you go to. So sometimes you're just an assistant and you just sit at a table and people want to just make RSVPs for meetings. So again, it's kind of, okay, here's probably the best way. It's almost like a Craigslist with the odd jobs. If you go to the gigs, they'll just explain what they want done in that booth. I've made chocolate in booth. I've done a game show. The colonoscopy show. There is a walk through colon. It's a blow up colon.
Oh my goodness.
And you walk through the stages of colon cancer, but they make it an educational way of doing it.
They try to make it sexy.
Yes. And I was in charge of just counting and making sure people go through and do their little photos ops with it and on with your day. So it can be different.
So for like what you do, what's the actual title of the job called?
Usually it's trade show host.
Okay.
Or trade show assistant.
So for that, like, suppose someone hires someone to be a trade host or assistant. How do they determine that person was successful to bring it back? Right? Is it some kind of metrics, or like how do they say, hey, Jason did a great job, we're gonna bring him back, or Jason was fucking horrible, never talk to him again? How does that work?
Yeah, it usually does come down to numbers. Either they want just a ton of numbers and hey, we're gonna send out email lists. We just want contacts. Give me contacts and let's just do it. And then you just go around, hey, can I scan your badge? Can I scan your badge? And then from there, someone will filter what the badge information is and be like, okay, these people, are owners, these are assistants, buyers, etc. Some other ones where they're doing usually sales on site. Those numbers are more about, can you find the big fish? Are they in the market? And you actually take that potential client who was just walking by, hey, come on in. Hi, I have my XYZ, what do you want to call it? Seller. And you just connect. And from there, they'll make a deal. And you're just kind of that middleman. You're the vessel that just gets that buyer into the booth. And that's what they want. They want contacts.
And this is you're going to keep on doing for a while?
I think so. I mean, I
like you have a fun time doing it.
It's so much fun. And everyone does work there for so long. And I think that is the hardest part about getting into that part of the industry is someone has to leave for you to come in.
Yeah.
So I've known some people, again, not only for the 20 years, but some of those people had been working for 40 years and they're in their 50s, they're in their 60s still doing this.
And these people that work with you, are they like, I'm guessing, is it a majority females like doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Probably like 95, 90%, if not higher.
Probably saying 90. It has gotten better, actually. I think getting some men in a little more. Not so airline stewardess style, because it definitely used to be. Yeah. And especially with the auto shows, you see those little girls in tight dresses. Yeah. And I feel in the 90s, it was really heavy with that.
Yeah. You're like, buy this Mercedes and get with me.
Exactly.
But not really, right?
Yeah, right. And you already know she has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And some of those were my friends too. And they would just get all these numbers, and even the guys as well. Like there are more guys nowadays that are in their nice little suits. And you get your suits bought for you. They get them tailored. You go to, I remember we had, was it? I forgot which designer it was, but they had all 12 of us girls in the same cute little dress that we got them all tailored up. And we just, they had us parade around the trade show and carrying these little signs. And that's all we did. But it looked like little airline stewardesses walking around. I'm using the word airline stewardesses because in the 90s, they were still doing that. And that's why we're trying to separate that now to flight attendant, right? But that's what they were kind of trying to go towards back in the day, was that.
Yeah, I remember the first time I seen like a male, first time I seen a male flight stewardess, what do you call it? I'm like, what is this? Like, what's going on here, right? But now it's pretty much coming down.
It's freaking awesome. And it's just like, it's so interesting to see how, again, 20 years, they just wanted cute little pretty whatever. And then they realized, okay, well, we need more educated backgrounds for these tech shows, these medical shows. And so everyone's still amazing looking.
Yeah, of course.
But also, like, not only do I work with amazing, fantastic people, but again, they're smart as heck. And you can you can like adapt to anything that's in there. And so like right now, let's say you were having a trade show booth and you're trying to sell these microphones. You're going to tell me in about an hour, hey, this is the tech info for the microphones. And I'm going to be like, okay, well, this thing, can you connect 4 at a time to the board? You can tweak this and that. And that's how you sell it to the customer.
Okay, nice. And how long have you been in your bartending business?
The business full time now has been about 5 years.
Okay.
I started, of course, right before COVID.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that.
Yeah. And I've been bartending for over 10 years. So I think I want to say about 12 years. So I started in Chicago. I actually worked in a nightclub. The largest one, it was Excalibur Castle Vision. And the reason it's so large is it used to be an old funeral home that...
You're kidding, right?
Oh, if I could show you a photo, it literally looks like a castle, which is why it was called Castle later on. So multiple levels. You have, what's the top of the church? A steeple. So the steeple was the office, and it was 7 floors, 19 bars. And I, at one time, probably 26 bartenders. And then you still had your bottle service. You had 2 main stages plus like 4 other little tiny stages. And that just drove me into the lion's den. You got 3 people deep all the time. And then New Year's, you're 6 people deep. 6 rows deep is what I mean by people deep. And you're just chugging away, heads down. Before you know it, 10 hours.
And do you have to get like some kind of bartender license or class? Or you just like start bartending? It's like a certification you can do or something like that?
So certain states require you to have a certification, but you don't need any classes. Some people, they have found help in that if they just don't know where to start. Luckily, I actually was just a club promoter at the time, so I already knew the people. They could tell me how to do it, and I was already part of the industry where I didn't need to learn anything special. With most bartenders, we are kind of against the classes because every bar is different, every cocktail program is different, and every cocktail program manager has their own style and way. So a lot of times when you're working at a restaurant or bar, there's someone in charge of the cocktail menu. And then from there you trickle down and you're like, hey, my little rubber duckies, like my little babies, like, can you please make my vision and will you keep creating my cocktail? And then from there, when you're the bartender there, and then you try to get your cocktails into the menu and become your own bar manager. So you kind of work your way up in that direction, where people who have asked me, hey, do you know if I can get a cocktail class anywhere, or should I do it? I want to get into it. And I'm like, well, you got YouTube now. And just like old fashions, everyone's different. Everyone makes it differently. And you kind of go to your favorite bartender that makes your favorite old fashioned, because there is no true specific way, even though there might be books that say, hey, this is 1.5 ounce this, etc. But some people might put more sugar in, or different kinds of sugar. I just had an old fashioned in San Diego where she put lemon and orange peel in, and it was just her way of doing it. She didn't put a cherry. And in Wisconsin, I'm looking at you again. It's a whole different beast. They put Sprite in their old fashions, and it's completely different than what we're used to in like the Pacific Northwest, where it's just basically almost pure booze and just a little splash of sugar. And so it's just interesting where everyone learns on the same classic cocktail.
Let me ask you this. This is probably just my experience. Like with old fashions, either like I get an old fashioned, either like, man, this is the most tastiest thing in the world. I mean, it's so good. Or what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, I've never had like yeah, it's okay. It's always like the nectar of the God's juice, or like, why did you send me sewer water, right?
I love how you say that. Yes.
Is that?
I can see that. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not always just coming down to the specific bourbon you're doing, but that helps definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten some people where they've muddled cherries and oranges to no end, and all of a sudden you just have a fruit salad in your drink, and you're like, I just want some booze.
Yeah.
I didn't want a meal. So yeah, I guess I see that as well. And I've even had people where they would come to me like, I want you to make my old fashioned because I love yours. And then I've definitely seen it the other way. I used to work at a bar where there was 3 bartenders in the same bar. And I would see that, certain people go to that one and that person. It's not necessarily just personality or
Yeah, I've been
whatever.
in places where one bartender, oh man, it's so great. Other bartender, like, what? Why? You used to be fired like right now.
And then, what's nice is, at least with a lot of those bars, you're obviously getting the freedom to build, your little scientific concoction. And when you go to some place like Red Robin, I know tons of people who worked at Red Robin. And again, because it's corporate, a lot of their cocktails are already pre-mixed in a bottle. And I feel bartending is a little more of an art form with science. And when you get that large, where you're just like 1, 2, 3, and you go and you serve it, you're not excited about anything. And again, the customer is also not excited because they're just getting the same thing, I feel. However, there are some people that, I like the vanilla. If you like the vanilla life, that's fine. And you want that consistency and just get the same thing over and over. That's great. You know what you like. But I feel a lot of people who are going out drinking want to try new things and experience different tastes, especially when they're traveling. You're like, hey, what's local here? What's cool here? I come from XYZ, state. I drink this, but what can you make that's cool that I can't get over?
Yeah. So far, the best old fashioned I had was this lady named Sarah Compton. She was a bartender in the Motif a while ago. And she used brown sugar with hers.
Yes. Actually, I use Demerara a lot. And this is the Spanish brown sugar.
That was so tasty. Yeah.
Yes.
So I could be wrong, but in order to drink, you have to be 21. But a bartender, you can only you just be 18, right?
To serve it and to make it, but you still can't drink it.
Serve it.
And again, that depends on the state too. So that's what's so interesting. Also, just pay wise is completely different all over the country.
I mean, you have to imagine, like, maybe this is me, but like, if you're 18, you're a bartender, you can't tell me they're not fucking sneaking drinks. Or like, there's no fucking.
I mean, I didn't start, but if you're in a small enough business, and I don't know. Yeah. It is a really big deal though if you get zapped,
I can imagine,
so you really don't want to risk it.
Yeah, that's true.
But after hours, when you're clocked out, that's a whole nother story. And I don't know. I didn't drink until way later, actually.
And it's like cleanup time,
Yeah. Or I guess you're.
And everyone's like 21, 23 drinking. Come on, kid.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I worked in Austin, Texas, and it's a lot of people came in that I was a temp, so I didn't know the people there, but all the regular bartenders, some of these kids would come in, and I'm like, I don't know, but
So did you work on 6th Street or somewhere else?
Yeah, I did.
There was a bar, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like, this is kind of off the wall, but they had like these margaritas, right? And like, they would do something like, they post like these 10 margarita frozen things, right? And then went to like the last ounce, they would then combine to like one drink, right?
Wait.
So there's like, looks like there's like 10 frozen margarita things, right? And when those margarita funnels, whatever, were about to have an ounce left, they put those 10 to like one drink. Right?
Yes.
Probably not the most healthiest thing to do, but it definitely did the job.
No, that reminds me of New Orleans because they have the same, but you can walk around the street with them. Ugh, so amazing. Yeah, I ended up doing South by Southwest for a few years, and unfortunately, COVID again just ruined the businesses.
That's my bucket list to go to. I wanted to go to South by Southwest.
Definitely worth it. And they closed down the whole streets, so just big parties. It's getting a little more corporate-y with these wristbands, and you have to buy these tickets to other places. But if you just kind of avoid the large advertisements of all that, and you still keep going to the small places, you're still going to find amazing local artists.
All the live music, all the art going on, all the tech stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
That's definitely on my bucket list. So I know you can't answer this, but like back when I used to go to bars and stuff, actually hang out, right? Like you go to a bar and it'd be like, you get a drink, it'd be so watered down. Like, I'm never buying this drink again. or like this, what's it called? Heavy pour, right?
Yeah.
Is there a reason people do that or like?
Well, so in the US, a standard pour is 1.5 ounces, technically. I mean, if you go to a lot of the recipe books, it's gonna be 1.5, 1.5. In Canada, they pour 1 ounce. On the East Coast, some places still pour 1 ounce. That used to be just the standard back then. What we call a half shot is a cowboy shot. So were they even drinking smaller back then? I don't know. Well, someone will have to look up the etymology on that one. But I still feel some places still do 1 ounce pours. And that is just their choice. I actually worked for a bar. He was an ex-fireman, amazing guy, but he never bartended in his life. And he's just like, I'm retiring. I want to open up a bar. And I had lived down the street, so I had gone there a couple times. And he's like, hey, he's like, hey, I'm looking for a bartender. And I was like, oh, I'm one. And he's like, oh, cool. Will you work my margarita bar for me? I'm like, all right, cool. And then I worked the margarita bar, and he's like, you want a full-time job here? I'm like, well, I can do part-time. I was still working at the club at the time. I was like, okay, I'll still work for you. It's a 3-minute walk from my house. And I'm doing my normal pours, and then he's like, hey, that's too much. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is like your normal pour. He's like, no, they're 1 ounces. And I'm like, why would you say they're 1 ounce? He's like, well, I watched Bar Rescue. I'm like, well, the Bar Rescue he was talking to me about.
Yeah, I've seen
it. It was in Canada. I was like, no, you can't. You can't. One, you just shouldn't copy what a reality show is doing. But two, I was like, no, like the standard here is 1.5. You're literally shorting people. They're charging the same. And then from there, like he fixed it. It was cool, but this just showed, you just didn't have the education on that part yet. So it just happens. And then your old fashions, martinis, they get to 2 ounces, 3 ounces. And then the whole great part of dives, what we call is free pouring. And that is legal in most states, but some states you can't, you have to use the measuring jigger. And you got to be precise. Thankfully in Seattle, you can free pour, and we just count is usually what we do. So we see those, we call them speed pourers, and you just count to 3 and half, and you pull it. And so sometimes you kind of count to 4. And one of my friends was at a bar and knew the other bartender, right? And she's like, I'm going to give you a special drink. And he's like, oh, okay. And she's like, I'm going to give you the standard industry pour. And she's doing this, and she's looking at him in the eyes, and it was 6 seconds. And I mean, what if you ask for a double? That's what you're going to get anyway. Yeah. But it was really cool.
I'm guessing, like, like suppose someone orders a drink from you, right? Suppose the drink costs $10, and they give you a $10 tip on top of that. I'm guessing that's kind of influence you to make the drink a little bit better next time,
or at least faster service if you can't help them out.
Yeah, tip your bartenders, everyone.
Tip your bartenders. I mean, I think the national start for tip wages, I believe, is still either $2.16 an hour or $3.16 an hour. And when I was in Chicago, I was $4.90. It did not take care of all my taxes.
Yeah.
And so you got to try to find that balance on your tip wages. And thankfully in Seattle, it's a really good price. But the cost of living here is so high that you still need tips. Yeah.
So suppose someone, the only job is being a bartender, let's say 7 days a week. Can they make a decent living, like decent being subjective?
Yes. The hard part is you can't go down the rabbit hole of spending your tip money on drinks all the time. So what happens is the bartending community is amazing, and it's so tight knit. There's plenty of little pages, online, like Facebook or Instagram, whatever, for bartenders in your area, which also, if you are interested in bartending, that's something good to look up. And so because we know each other, not only do we just ask questions through this, but we're like, hey, who's working here tonight? Who's working here tonight? And so you take your cash money and you go say hi to everybody. And the joke is there's $3 million nationally floating around between bartenders of just tipping, because we will tip our 50%, 100%, and we just keep tipping back and forth. And where's that money going? It's just staying between the bar.
Staying in the community,
yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah. So that's a nice little perk.
So how does someone become a bartender? How do they break into it?
It kind of is about all who you know. I mean, the bar I work at now in Seattle, I was a regular there for 3 years, and I always loved it. And then one day I was like, hey, you guys hiring? And they're like, well, no, but we'll let you know if something opens up. And they already knew my background, working in Chicago at least. But if you do go to a couple bars, you talk to the other bartenders, really, you get to know it. And as you're hanging out more, you're just going to observe, how customers are. That's the major one. If you can't handle customers gracefully, you're not going to last long. If you're a diva, you're not going to last long. And you have to be able to work with everyone and communicate, be patient, and also be able to multitask and get your stress together all at the same time. Yeah. So talking to someone at the bar, whether they're hiring or not, or they might know other bars that are hiring, because again, we're connected in these groups.
So here's one for you. Which one would get hired first, right? There's two people. One is like an A skill of bartending, a C of customer service. Other one is the opposite.
It might depend on the bar. If they're more like a fancier hotel bar, then they need people just looking good. And again, their cocktails might be pre-batched already. You might want to go with that person who's more customer service related. And maybe they just don't work as fast, but they're still making a quality drink. That's probably going to be more for maybe kind of more corporate world side, where family bars or even in your good mixology bars, you still also have to be fast. And so if you're not fast and good at what you do, I'm not saying fast as in losing any quality. You just got swift, I guess.
You got to do both of them, yeah.
Yeah. And so that would be probably you're on your A game as a personality. But also if you're really good at making cocktails and you kind of don't talk to people as much, we call this the well. And when you're stuck in the well, you're the person that's head down. You got the tickets flying and you're making all the drinks for the tables in the restaurant. So there's usually one designated person that makes the tables, and your server's coming to that person and, hey, table 3 needs these drinks. And then there's the bartenders who are actually working at the bar that people are sitting down at. And so, if you're at the bar, you're obviously talking to more people. Yeah. If you're in the well, you're just head down, just being that mixologist, mad scientist, and just sending out drinks as fast as you can.
For all the how the bartenders do it, where like they do a drink and it comes back, hey, so-and-so said this is like something's wrong with it, right? You just like remake it, or you get an attitude, or you get mad. Like, this is a perfect, this is a perfect drink, you motherfucker. Like,
we're guilty of the bitching a little bit. Yeah. When you say it's too weak, that's probably the hardest part, because again, we know what we poured.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
You like tell them they need to order a double.
No, yeah. Well, that's the funny thing. So one of the jokes are, can you make it strong this time? I will make a double. No, can't make it strong, because they don't want to pay the double. Yeah. They just want the extra booze. You're like, no, either you get a double or you're going to get a regular. I'm not making it 1.5.
Yeah.
It's like ordering steak at Rare Plus. It's a 1.5 degrees difference.
I'm sure that if someone did the research, those people like want the double for free. They probably tip the shittiest.
Also, light ice. They think they're getting more booze. No, you're going to get more mixer. So you're actually going to taste less booze, because we're trying to fill the cup up.
I didn't know that. I always thought you got a lot of, like if you order Coke, I always thought you order like less ice, you get more Coke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get more liquid.
Okay.
Or let's say this is your glass and a normal cocktail ends up here when you have ice. To keep the delusion. I'm deluded. To keep the delusion. What am I? I haven't even had a drink yet.
We'll blame on your flight.
I'm going to reset. So when you add ice, it dilutes what you're doing. And there is a reason they put the full scoop in. And that way you get a perfect ratio. So when you're putting in less ice, technically if you're going to make the same cocktail, let's say you normally would fill your mixer up to here, then your mixer, you hear it. Okay. And then the people then are thinking they're getting shorted, but they ask for less ice. Okay. Otherwise, if you just add more mixer too,
so again, it's actually like a kind of like a scientific reason.
It really is. Yeah. There's ratios to everything. And again, then they're going to complain they don't taste the booze because there's more mixer. Yeah. But some people do want that. And hopefully everyone figures it out as quick as they can, but some don't and just think they're going to get that Long Island with 3 pieces of ice and they're going to get a double somehow. Yeah.
So this question could be all over the place, right? So suppose someone's a new bartender, right? So they work at a place, a bar where there's not really many customers. They work at a dive bar that's like fucking people coming all the time, or like an established club where it's like steady clientele. Or does it matter?
It depends on the personality, I think. And again, I'm the ADHD person, so I work best when I get thrown in a lion's den and I have to survive and I just go for it. So that is why my first job was at that nightclub in Chicago. I went right in. Other people who have asked me I kind of try to read them a little bit. Maybe sometimes like, hey, just start at beer or wine, work on your customer service. So whether it's busy or not, I'm not sure if that would matter because you're just pouring, you're not really mixing. So that way you can figure out how people work in their heads. Because one, you don't want to get stuck in a long conversation with someone sometimes, because if you do get busy, you need to keep going. So you need to figure out what someone wants without taking too long. You got to be graceful about it. And then customer service wise, you get a cranky customer, something happened, you need to be able to de-escalate. Or also the other thing about bartending is you're kind of like a flight attendant, which I wonder if they're similar because safety first. You're all about safety. You have to be on point to not only just maybe check IDs, but fights can come about, and you're the only one there. Actually, the main reason I started my business, Seattle is a fire at will state. They can hire you for anything, any reason, or not hire you for any reason. And I legit got turned down twice because I'm a woman. Like, we don't hire women at my bar. And or we don't let women close because it's at nighttime. And thankfully, I am a big girl, and I'm like, well, your guy over there is half my size. I could take him out right now. So that's something also to think about. Like, if you go to a dive bar, you're probably going to encounter some fights. You're going to kick people out. You're going to also be the bouncer, security. You're going to be medical too. You need to know your Heimlich maneuver. You need to know your CPR. Drug overdoses happen. So you need to know when someone's kind of on a drug, and you got to be like, I can't serve you liquor. You got to look for all these little things. And so it's not just about serving, and you have to be a part of the whole community within that building.
I remember like, so a couple places down, there's a place called Central Saloon here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to be open in 1892. It's like they have live music every night. I'll go there once in a while to eat lunch or just hang out, right? So one time I was there, it's pretty crowded, like 7 o'clock. And these two people, I guess there were 4 people, right? I think they had like a Ukrainian accent, Russian accent, but none of them had the right ID, right? It was like, it's something they couldn't accept. Yes. And they would like argue with the bartender, I want to drink. Here's this is good in Ukraine. How not good here? And the lady, like, polite as it could, like, but finally they had to bring someone else in, like, hey, Joker. Yeah. You got to leave, right?
Yeah. And yes, we all have to deal with that. I feel actually pretty bad for most of the international travelers that come in here, because they're like, what the heck is all this ID and this? And there's so many rules. And I do find Washington State one of the strictest. And I did Google it at one point, and we're like number 3 for strictest alcohol regulation. And then we're like number 12 is most stressful with IDs and liquor control and all that. Because coming from Chicago, you can still have liquor on the street in a paper bag and you're fine. No one asks for your ID when you go in. It's very rare. But in Seattle, like, you have to check every single person. You can't have a vertical. You can't. This is what's happening.
That's what it was. The ID was vertical. That's what it was. It was vertical.
Vertical, and then the other one, when it's international, no one's carrying around their passports. No. We're only allowed to look at passports because at least you're classically trained to look at them. Yeah. We don't know what an Australian driver's license look like, or fake one would look like, right? So that is the hardest part, because they show us their like EU identification, and I'm like, I'm sorry, we can't, like. Yeah, and the thing was, like, I mean, you could tell they were in like 30s or 40s, right? They did not, they did not look young at all, right? Depending on the policy at your place, like if you're 50 and you don't have a proper ID that's valid, because if it's expired, we still can't take it. Yeah, and people always are like fighting you about it. You're like, it's really just for our safety, and it's the law. Ooh, hey. And don't shoot the middleman. I'm sorry. Yeah. But yeah, you get some people that are just really ticked off about it. I remember the guy said, I just want to have a drink in a bar in America. Why is it so fucking hard? I know it is. It's so hard. It's so regulated. And if I ever get like older with like spare time and spare money, I want to like go through all the little weird little laws that just don't matter anymore. Like, I know there's a law in the South that like you can't have an alligator on your leash, or like some of those other laws. You can't pull your pantyhose up in public. Yeah. So I just want to get like rid of those little things, and maybe it'll be easier. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it made sense back in 1812, Yeah, exactly. It's like, or tech wasn't around for whatever it is. everyone tries to show you like, I have a picture of my ID on my phone. I'm like, anyone could Photoshop that. Like,
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. I was like, no, I can't take it. I have seen some fakes. And they're bad. I had a fake passport once, and I'm like, your ink is bleeding.
Yeah. Like, how is this your passport photo? Your girlfriend's in the picture with you.
Is that your cat in the back?
Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, yeah.
You should at least crop it out.
Exactly. Can you be a little smarter than that?
So, how does this work? Like, suppose someone comes to you, like, they order a drink, but it's not a real drink. They say, hey, I want make this for me. Like, I shot a Crown, I shot a tequila, Sprite. You just, can you make it for them?
Yeah.
But then how do you determine what the price is?
So typically, it's gonna be whatever the most expensive booze is in there, really. Because either way, you're still gonna put the same amount of booze in. So let's say they did Crown. Yeah, Crown and peach schnapps and something else. You're gonna charge them for the Crown. Even though you're putting in 2 liquors that measure to that 1.5 ounce. But whatever's the more expensive one is typically, that's how you're going to get your overhead, worth on it. Yeah.
So the best liquor is called top shelf, right?
Yeah.
And is the worst liquor, is it called bottom shelf?
Well, they call it well.
Well,
Or,
okay.
I mean, you could call it bottom, but usually it's well. And again, that hole in the well, that's it. It is literally the watering hole of the bar, right? And back in the day, that was where you would get your water. Way back in cowboy days. Have you heard about the troughs?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For all you kids at home who don't know, because it was mostly men. I mean, if you're a woman, you're a hooker. In the cowboy era, you go to the bar and you'd sit down and you'd be stepping on all the sawdust and it smelled already. And because there were no washrooms and they're just drinking and sitting, there's just a little trough in front where you sat, where you peed in. So you know that place.
Nice and sanitary.
Yeah, you just drink and pee, and you never had to get up.
That's one thing, like when people like complain about living a day, like go back 100 years, right?
Seriously?
Yeah, like this is the best time to live. I'm like, oh, 100 years ago, there's no electricity.
Right.
Outhouses, like say, pissing and drinking, right?
Thank goodness for toilet paper.
Yeah.
I don't know what I do without toilet paper. I mean, wash some rags. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. It's amazing that human society survived all that crap, Probably just to kill ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, we definitely have survived.
So, is there, of course, there's a big difference between price between top shelf and well, but is there really a difference in quality and taste and all that kind of stuff?
Some of it, yeah, especially with tequila. Tequila can have a lot of additives.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's a big difference between Jose Cuervo and top shelf.
There's a lot of caramel colorings. There's, oh my gosh, what's the sweetener? Corn syrup. Oh, yeah. So sometimes we'll put in a little bit of corn syrup for certain flavored items instead of cane sugars, or again, that Demerara, the brown sugars for other things. So a lot of people with allergies actually don't do wells because they have those odds and ends that are in there, even dyes. On the bottom shelves, where typically, more of the top shelves, middle shelves are going to be, they're colored just from the actual cask that they're in. Sometimes a lot of places will like burn the cask, so that way you get that caramel coloring that whatever level they want of shade. Okay. Yeah. So
maybe this is my experience, but it's like whenever I go to a bar or whatever, suppose I say I want to, I don't know, bourbon or Coke, right? Mm-hmm. It's like they automatically get me a well. Yeah. It seems like they would ask. It sounds like they would like trying to upgrade, right? Hey, you want to upgrade to top shelf? How come they don't do that?
Some places do.
Like a customer always has to ask, hey,
yeah,
I want like I would say I want old fashioned, but use Blanton's or Wood Wolf.
Exactly.
But if you don't, they give you some Jack Daniels and Beam, right? It's right. Except they would ask you to upgrade because the drink costs more, and then I don't know, maybe the tips more. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, you hope that works out. Typically it is a 20% tip, right? So does that extra $2 to $5 to $8? It kind of depends on that, right? Some of it, I think, is just if you're busy, you just don't have time to keep asking these questions. True, and I think most people do now assume that that's, if they don't specify, they're going to get that well. However, with like old fashions, Manhattans, anything that's a specific cocktail, not just like whiskey, Coke, I usually do ask, do you want anything specific? And they'll usually be like, no, well's fine.
Okay.
Tip wise, I don't know if that affects it or not. I don't think there's been enough where it really does, unless they're drinking a ton of them or the whole table's drinking them. You know, especially, yeah, if there's 5 people drinking the same cocktail and it's a difference between a $7 one and a $12 one, that's going to add up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's enough for an incentive of that. But that is kind of the trick, is the well you don't see, right? Because it's at the bottom and all the top shelves behind you. It's there. The billboard's there. It's up to them if they want to buy.
Okay. Do you have a favorite bourbon?
Oh, I go through phases. I've been doing the small batch 4 Roses recently. That's actually at my house right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have that. I didn't like that.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
And again, everybody likes it different.
Yeah.
And that's my hot toddy one right now. Yeah, I do like a sweeter, I think smoothers for my.
Have you tried? I think it's called Baden Blonde.
No,
it's the one with has the key around the table thing.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
I don't think I've had that in old fashioned.
I think it's called Baden Blonde.
It's been. I'm also thinking of Larceny. They also have a keyhole. And if I've had the shots again, I can't remember if I've had it. And then also you do just try so many, you don't remember anymore. Yeah. It's all out there now with all these celebrity ones too. It's just clogged with all these companies. And yeah, do you go with the old tried and true, or do you try all the new stuff? Yeah. You know,
and then again, like, you want to try different stuff, but do you want to pay like $30-40 a bottle? Yeah,
those Blatons. Oh my gosh. Yeah, those are delicious, but my bar's cheap at $26 a shot.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, Blanton's. I remember for a while, no one you can find Blanton's anywhere, right?
Yep, and that's exactly why it's so expensive, because they're not changing how much they're making, until the future, because they're, just aging in barrels. There's nothing else you can do but just sit there and wait, Yeah,
they just taste it. One time, I was trying to find Blanton's, no one had it, and a good friend of mine, who's on a podcast, have him bring over the rest of my Blanton's. He had maybe that much of it left. It was so good, right? Like, man.
Yep, I still have my horsey cork from my last bottle. Yeah. And people collect those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have, people, the whole Blanton community is like, do you have the little horse with the A? Do you have the horse with the B? And people are exchanging the tops and the bottles. And so it's not just the drink. Like, they've created
whole brand community.
Seriously. Actually, I just saw, it was the neatest thing, a Lego Blanton's bottle.
Okay.
And so apparently Lego got, either it's a private person making it or Lego themselves, but I was absolutely astonished that they put the Lego brand combined, right?
Yeah, that seems like a good match.
You think kids, but there are so many adults, and there's this whole premium section of Legos now. You buy a kit. One of my friends, he bought this, I guess, a rose. They're supposed to look like roses, and they're tiny little Legos, so it almost looks real. And I think he paid $130 for this one Lego kit. Yeah, and it's Star Wars one too. I know it's hundreds of dollars for these Lego kits for the adults.
So tell me, how did your business survive COVID?
Whew. Yeah, that was a trip. I think what happened was, once the bars shut down, all the bartenders either went into tech or real estate, and they're like, I'm out. I need money. I need insurance. And something has to happen. So they I feel like their personalities all kind of went to those 2 main sections. Once outdoor were able to open up again, people have to get married. And so people were begging for bartenders. I was double booking, triple booking, because there weren't any bartenders out there, and people were just asking. And they're all doing these outdoor barn weddings. And so all the other people who either just ended up getting new jobs, or maybe they were too scared to work. I'm not sure. At this time, there were the vaccines and everything, and we were all still wearing masks. So I felt safe and just bartended there. And then word got out. And I even have some clients that I've married. I've done their baby showers. I've done their kids' first birthdays. And I'm at the point, I'm like, here's my adoption papers. Just get me into your family at this point. It's so cute. So now with all these original people that I've married off, I still keep in contact with them and work all their other events. And so I think word of mouth really is what happened. And I think just because I was one of the few fish left in the sea at that time, it just kind of skyrocketed from there. And then people had to move their weddings over. So I had one person, she had to go 2 years until I actually worked her wedding.
Yeah. Nice. So we're going to talk more your business in a little while, but right now we're going to have you make a. So I'm turning over to Natasha. She's going to walk through the process of making a smoked old fashioned.
Well, I'm gonna have to step away from the mic to pop this out of the box.
Okay.
And this kit's a really large kit because, again, I work weddings with 100 people, 200 people. But if you just get the wooden staves, or sometimes you see these little, call them like wooden halos and the corks. So you can do them at home with just like on top of your single glass and take some time with it. Mine is a little bit built more for speed. It's like a giant hookah. But we're smoking chips. Can you smell it? Yeah.
And how much does one of these things cost?
You're probably get around for $100.
Okay, that's decent.
Yeah, they're not too bad, and they're rechargeable. I just plug them in USB. But
and you have to like replace them every once in a while because of use and stuff, or
you got to clean them out.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's kind of gunky right now. It's almost time.
Do they come like new updated versions and stuff that they try to entice you to buy?
I haven't seen much. This dome that I'm using for this cocktail is pretty big because you can actually smoke food in this too. So you can take a piece of fish and do it as well. But I do love these glass bell ones that are also out there, and they fit one single drink. They look really nice too. This one I can sometimes do 2 drinks at a time, and again, built for speed.
Are there certain bourbons that are like better to smoke versus other ones?
I haven't come to a conclusion yet.
Okay.
I feel it still comes down to more personal taste, but if they are sweeter, like kind of like a Maker's Mark, it might not work as well as if you get something a little more on that, like that sharper side, if you know what I'm talking about. Like, oh, not quite rye, but ryes would be good. Smoking tequila is really nice. I also brought a lovely mezcal when I was in Oaxaca. So there's a worm in it. Wow. It really does affect the taste. I've told myself I'd never have a tequila or mezcal with a worm. And this is my favorite now. Okay. It's crazy how this one little organism can affect the taste of a bottle, and it just gets better as it sits in there. So yeah, it's just fun. You can smoke anything that you want. I need to find the top. So what bourbons do we have? I know that's your collection over there.
Yes, we have the Bullet, the Wooden Real Whiskey. We have this Frank August.
Ooh, yes. What's this guy? Oh yeah. Oh, I recognize it. Fantastic. All right. So we're gonna feel like the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland. Okay. This will smoke up the room, and I'm hoping no one in this office building is thinking the place is on fire. Yeah. Okay.
Or that
no sprinklers.
Or that we're here smoking dope or something.
Right. We are in Seattle. All right. So I got some apple with us today, apple chips. So I chose that one, a little extra flavor. This might take another minute.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. And then I did bring our bitters and an orange so we can get real fancy here. And you got your glass over there, right? And I brought my favorite stir. It's my Cthulhu.
And so what's some of the big difference between like a regular old fashioned and a smoked old fashioned?
I mean, I feel smoked old fashioned might have a little more illusion of a body to it. You're just going to get more flavor profile and kind of like a treat.
Yeah. Plus like more high class, right?
Yeah. There's just something about it. You're literally cooking it kind of.
I mean, it's already high class, older old fashioned, but it's another level. No, I want to smoked old fashioned.
Right. And, maybe you could have 3 or 4 old fashions in a sitting sometimes if you're on it. I can't imagine having more than maybe 2 smoked, but I'm sure there's people out there that do. Yeah, the setup that this thing takes.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing you charge more for a smoke. How much more do you charge for a smoked old fashioned versus a regular old fashioned?
Well, since I usually do this at open bars, it's usually I just rent the service, and it typically takes an extra bartender. So really, I charge the extra bartender price, so whatever that could be. And then I usually do about just $50.
Okay.
Yeah, so you gotta buy the wood chips. They have to be food safe. They can't be just some crazy wood chip you just get out from someone's logs, you know.
So this setup kind of reminds me like someone doing like an espresso machine, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. And that's why kind of the two go together. A lot of bartenders have been baristas, and that's again kind of, I think, why I ended up doing the barista work at the trade shows as well. Yeah. So there's this little guy here, and this is our little crazy tube that you usually just kind of chuck it under the dome. Now, if you get some nicer ones, or if you have a long time, there's a little hole in the side, then you can really like let it sit. Because the trick is the smoker you want it, you just let it sit and soak in. All right, I'm gonna do your bourbon, and then maybe I'll do a mezcal another time.
Yeah.
Or actually, do you want me to make yours first?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna do whatever because this is amazing. Yep. So I'm gonna put the ice in now, because if you can get it into the cubes too, I feel it sticks a little better. I'm using my hands. Again, health practices when it's in private form is a little different. So normally what I would do, I'd have some Demerara, which we're just kind of more doing bourbon straight here. Then we light her up. There's a little button up here that's going to intake the air. I hope I'm not smoking your mic. And please don't tell me my battery's out. Oh no. Technical difficulties. And this is part of it. So it's a rechargeable. All right, we're gonna have to wait for this, I think.
Okay.
I think we didn't get her charged as much as I was hoping to.
All right.
It's pouting. Well, we can still have booze.
Yeah.
I can try to plug it in if we find a USB box. If not, we'll find a way.
Okay.
You
need like USB port or something?
Yeah. I heard it going, but that is not the sound it's supposed to make, and it's blinking at me.
About this right here.
Yes. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Try that. I just want to double check I'm not gunked up here. Kind of have to be a mechanic too.
So while you're doing this, so this drink, I'm gonna drink it. It's gonna be interesting for me, right? Because I'm actually doing a water fast right now.
Oh, it's gonna hit you hard.
And this is like, this is day 9 of my water fast.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I feel good, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I'm a little hungry, but I feel good. I feel focused. So,
okay.
Yeah, this is definitely gonna fucking hit me.
I think I've done like 3 days, maybe on that.
Yeah, I do my once in a while. The longest I've done is 21 days. I did 21-day water fast one time. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm don't get me wrong. The first 3 days, like, fuck, I can't do this. But once you hit like day 8, 9, it's like, yeah, it's
okay.
Like, yeah, nothing.
Very nice.
But then your body tells you, okay, motherfucker, you need to eat something.
It's like I'm craving it.
Yeah, you just gotta listen to your body. But this is gonna be very interesting.
I did keto, and that was amazing, and made me feel really good. But I've never done more than like 3 days. Oh, I see what's happening. So my motor's gunked up.
Okay.
So we're gonna keep trying here.
Okay.
And now you see it moving, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't even moving at all. And again, yeah, that's what happens when you do so many of these. Is There's the smoke sucks in and you get this lovely like layer
It's moving
here.
faster now.
Yeah. I'm trying not to burn out the motor, but we're getting somewhere.
No pressure, Natasha. No,
Okay.
no pressure, Natasha.
It should hopefully loosen up. All right. All right. Maybe another minute. We'll let it run and
Okay.
it's looking. There we go. Okay. So, hey,
All right.
of course, when we say we're done.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right. So I'm gonna turn it over to you. Have the camera and you just walk through the whole process.
Yes. I know it's not the, again, the other part about bartending, we call it knolling. And it's also for tools of the trade. It's when you line up everything and make it look good and pretty, but you're also have everything set out where you need it to be. And I'm kind of a fan of knolling, and I am definitely not doing it right now. All right, so we got the motor running. We're gonna pop the air intake up here. And for you kids at home, yeah, it's like a big hookah where you put the chips on top, but it's kind of like a smoking gun, so it's not like a tower as a hookah would be. But you still have a tube that runs out towards it, which if you've ever done hookah, that's kind of where you smoke in from. And then a little button that changes the speed on how much you want. So we're gonna light, without me lighting the mic on fire. Put on, that way it's sucking in some air. We're gonna light this guy. Still might be a little gunked up. There we go. All right, so you see that smoke coming out? All right, smoke show. All right, so I like to put it directly into the drink. When you have the bell curves, the bell domes, I find it a little easier. So I'm gonna plop it in here. Little hole. We're gonna keep it going.
Let's go back a little bit. That's good. That's better.
There we go. All right, so we're gonna let it sit for a moment. Woo-wee.
That's pretty fast. It doesn't like you're leaving a long time, right?
Yeah, well, because now you're letting it sit for as long as you want. So once you have the dome filled with the smoke, it's on you to how long you want it to stay in there. Because I'm doing usually faster services, I kind of just stick it into there, let it go. And you can let it sit as long as you want, as smoky as you want. We're gonna go.
Does the longer you let it sit affect anything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll absorb more. And again, that's why I like to put the ice in there, so that kind of sticks as well. But obviously, if you let it sit too long, then your ice is melting. So you try to find that balance. And then I kind of like to puff it so that way it, you keep pushing it in there. And then voila. And give it a try. And if you like a little orange peel, I'm happy to add it.
Yeah, let's do orange peel. Let me get this free bartending service while I can.
Get some zest in there. And then the nice part, you give it a little twist. Now that orange zest is on top. And
Thank you.
enjoy. You're welcome.
You yours now?
I am. What do I want to use? All right, we're gonna do the Woodenville. We're going local. Now, do you taste?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely taste it.
Mm-hmm. And if you like it, you just let it sit there for a whole minute,
Okay.
And a lot of people always are like, why are my drinks taking so long? Why are my drinks taking so long? This is one example, especially if they're offering it. But also when you get into those fine cocktails, you want to be as precise as you can. That way you're getting all the flavors. There are glasses out there that are specially shaped just for snifting or just for, an old fashioned. That way you get the notes from your nose first, right? First you look at with your eyes, then you're going to smell, then you're going to taste, then you're going to get the feel, and you're like umami, right? And you go through all these stages, and yeah, you don't want it to just be something you fly out the door with. And that's the hardest part about being a cocktail bartender compared to maybe a dive bartender is you're making more of these, and people don't tip any differently. because they think their service is getting slow, and they're like, oh, and then they get sticker price too, like sticker shock.
Oh, shit.
So they're like, oh, this is expensive and it took long. And then you end up getting the same tip as someone who just gave you a shot in a beer. So this is why, because you have to do a lot more.
It's an art to it.
Exactly. And there's some people I know that make these wooden staves specifically for their own cocktails. So let's say I wanted to make my own signature old fashioned, and I've got, you know, my Woodenville over here, and I'm going to put a wooden stave that has like apple wood, we'll say, because that's actually what we smoked with. This was apple wood. And then you stick it in there. It has to be food safe. So that's the hard, you have to find the right wood for it, and, you know, make sure it's not treated or anything. And then you let it sit there for, you know, a week or two, whatever your cocktail is doing. So not only is it specifically your own, but now you're limited to your amount too. So every drop counts. And yeah, there's just so much more that goes into the behind the scenes when it comes to drinks. Like there's also these milk punches that a lot of people love to make, and they put their heart and soul in it. You have to do straining through cheesecloths, and it takes days to make, days. And you might get a gallon's worth out of it. And when it's gone, it's gone. Again, also why it would cost a lot, because limited edition, bartender only. You're never going to get this anywhere else. You know, so it's really fun to get creative. And sometimes you do it and you're like, oh no, what did I just do? So you go through the trials and errors.
You probably don't know this, but how is that orange peels became the thing to put in the drinks versus like lemon peels or some other fruits you could do? Or
you know, I've heard a lot of different stories. Because I heard lemon was kind of where the original was, and I know a lot of people prefer, maybe not a lot. I feel the voiced opinions really, or the squeaky wheels really like, no, lemon brings it out so much more. I have not really dove down that rabbit hole where the orange came in, where the cherry came in. I know where citrus, typically lime, came in is because it's also antiseptic, right? So you would clean the rim of your glass, so you put that lime on there because no one washed their glasses back in the day either, right?
Of course not.
Yeah, again, going back to
of course not.
How did we survive?
And then, you know, you probably serve a drink to John Bob left, and then use the same glass to serve Billy Bob.
Yep, and then all the people were like the pirates and all the royalty on the ships, you know, they were all getting the scurvy, so they started with all that. They had limes. We were going all around the world, so everyone could get a lime, you know, basically because of all the maritime drinkers. I went to Cuba, and I got to go and get real mojitos. Beautiful, beautiful country and beautiful people. And I kind of went down the rabbit hole where I was looking up the mojito histories, and it was starting off where when the royalty came in on the ships, they all had their scurvy and they had their limes, but they found the mint. And apparently it was the way to cure, I forgot which disease it was, but there was some disease going on the island where they considered the booze and the lime and the mint was literally curing people. And they were telling people that was medicine. And then that's, I guess, how they got to the US from there.
Nice.
I'm going to smoke mine too.
And so what's your favorite chip to use for this? Like applewood or something else? Or
it depends. I think I find myself normally doing cherry wood, just as a personal preference. But I try flying chips. My motor needs to be lubed up at some point. But yeah, if it's like a rye, I feel maybe more like a hickory, or not a fruity one, is probably more appropriate. Where if I'm doing sweeter or more neutral flavored ones, then I can get to more of that like fruity. Ooh, think of my eyes. Again, I'm still curious what the rest of the building is like. What is going on? Yeah. I'm going with the orange too. And as you can see, I'm also doing it over the glass as well. That way I can get any zest I can get off of that.
So why like not actually cut a piece of orange off and put the orange in there?
You could, and some people do.
Okay.
And it's interesting. Cheers. Or Nostrovia. Mm. It takes the bite off too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like that little edge. You're just like, ooh. Wait, I got veered. What'd you ask me?
Why come people don't like, how come you just don't put a piece of orange in there versus just a peel?
I feel on the north side of America, we like to taste like a little more just spirit forward. Again, especially in the Pacific Northwest, I feel like it is pretty much more of a shot. We barely put anything else in.
Yeah.
It's more popular in the South to actually have muddled oranges and cherries in, and usually they do take a muddle. It's very, very Florida-esque. Didn't come across it as much in Texas, but I know a lot of my friends in the Florida area, Georgia area have gotten the muddled. And then it's just their preference. And I have had people ask me, can I have a muddled orange?
Okay.
At my bottom is very rare, maybe once every 3 years. But
so what's the difference between like a regular bourbon and a rye bourbon?
So rye, you have you're more. What do we have over here?
So this is actually regular Rudinville. Yeah. But when I bought it, it was a rye, but that's regular. But when I bought it, it was a rye.
Oh yeah, yeah. So this one's 100% rye. So your rye mash has to be rye, which is going to be you'll notice a more drier taste to it. But if you think about like rye bread, it's got a specific taste.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. I never thought about that.
Yeah, so it's the rye seeds, and they're just mashing it up.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
And then your bourbon can be the mash, but you have to have less than 50% rye if you're mixing it. And then Canada doesn't have any laws on what's rye, what's whiskey, what's bourbon. So whiskey technically is only from Tennessee, just like champagne is technically only from France.
Yeah.
So everything else is supposed to be a bourbon.
Technically.
Yeah. So when you go to Canadian whiskey, you can put whatever you want in there in ratios, where rye it has to be heavy rye.
Okay.
And again, bourbons tend to be smoother and sweeter, where ryes are a little more harsher.
I have some friends that only drink rye. Like I'll drink it. I'm not a big fan. Like suppose I went to a bar and said, "Hey, here's a drink for you." It's like old fashioned with like some kind of rye. I'm not gonna tear it down, of course, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna order it myself. Yeah.
Yeah, you know your preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you get a Manhattan. You think about it, you're putting sweet vermouth in it, so you're actually evening out the rye that you're putting in.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that always was a great way to go, because but if you do it in the right way, in the right balance, you're fine. But a lot of Manhattans I get is just so much sweet vermouth that you lose the rye. So why are you paying for something like this that is a little more intricate and regulated? And then all of a sudden now you're just putting a bunch of other stuff in it. So if you like the rye taste, I feel old fashioned would be a better way to go than a Manhattan. But if you don't, and bourbon is great. And what's so unique about it is every brand does have a different taste.
It does, yeah.
It's crazy.
It is, yeah. It does, yeah.
And
so there's a guy I know, we're like LinkedIn friends, so to speak. He's out of Houston, and he showed me a picture of his bar right home. It's like has to be at least 1,000 bottles of bourbon, right? Like, dude, that is fucking insane. He has like 1,000 bottles of bourbon. This big, basically a refrigerator for cigar humidor. Like, dude, like when can I come vacation to your house, dude?
If we could only smoke a cigar in here right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
I actually, when I got this place from the building owner, I said, "Hey, can I smoke in here?" Like, no, you can't smoke in here, right?
Right.
Like, cause I want like have conversations.
Yeah.
Smoke some cigars, smoke some, the funny stuff, But yeah, but I was trying to figure out how could I get away with it, right? Do I just like block all the doors, have incense everywhere?
Okay, little fans.
Yeah, but like the post office right there. They probably smell it. Yeah,
they probably poo-poo that one. Yeah. Not with the post office. We're literally next door.
Yeah.
And then you got the e-cigs, but not the same.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Oh. Ooh. I don't know if I've had the Woodinville rye before.
So that's actually not a rye. So I bought this bottle like maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Put it in the bottle.
Yeah. So when I bought it, I got a personalized bottle with the rye. Then I went and bought it.
Oh, okay. Your name? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's
So now that's like regular Woodinville.
okay, so this is your decanter at this point.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Basically,
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what is December 2nd, 2018? What's the
That's the day me and my friend were there. My friend took
Oh,
that at the Woodinville, what do you want to call it? They had like a tasting, whatever.
tasting room, yeah.
Yeah, and they said, okay, which one you like? And actually, the one I liked had ran out, and so we just got this one.
Very nice.
Yeah.
The fact that they etched it, that's amazing.
It was very nice, yeah.
Yeah, I'd keep that as my decanter. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Fantastic. And again, yeah, once you smoke this, it changes the flavor profile and what it is. So
Definitely.
You could have told me it was right. I believed it.
So everyone's like taste palette is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does that like so I guess some taste palettes are like more sweeter, more harsh or whatever, or like is that like scientifically proven or is it like
I don't know. I mean,
like people,
at least we can say personal preference.
Yeah, personal preference, yeah.
I used to work in a speakeasy, and speakeasies don't have menus. And you can still, order the classic speakeasy that you think of, old fashioned aviations, etc. But because back in the day you couldn't have a menu, you couldn't have any, evidence of you serving booze. So you would be like, one is what did you have in stock? You don't know what barrel drink you would be getting, and then you don't know what drinks like mixers you would have back in the day. But what you would do is ask, hey, do you like a spirit forward or do you like a little masked? So a lot of people are like, I don't want to taste the booze. I get that a lot, actually, especially with the younger crowd.
Yeah.
What's sweet that I can't taste the booze on? I'm like, okay, here's a blue drink. So you ask that. You ask, do you like it floral? Do you like citrus? Do you like sweet? Do you like sour? Do you like dark liquor, light liquor? Do you have a preference on even the liquor itself? And so from there, you find that person's tastes and sense. You give them their drink. They take the risk. That's the whole point, because you're taking a risk going to a speakeasy, in the original way, right?
Yeah.
And if you like it, you get another one. If you don't, they'll find another way to make something else. But one is a great way to discover new drinks as a consumer. And it's also a really great way as a bartender to be creative and also just figure their own stuff out.
Okay.
Because you really are just making something off the cuff sometimes. And it's kind of it's so neat that it's still true to how speakeasies were during Prohibition. In a sense, like we're still holding on to that tradition.
So back in September, I went to Vietnam, to Saigon with some friends of mine. We actually went to a speakeasy in Vietnam.
Wow.
It was a fucking coolest experience, right? The drinks are so good. They made old fashioned perfectly, right? It's just a badass experience, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking nice.
Especially fun when it's underground.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a password, right?
Yeah. It was definitely like going to a dungeon, an underground cave, whatever. Like, are we sure not going to a fucking death right now?
Exactly.
This not looks safe.
Right. At least your downstairs is like a bunker, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I know here in Seattle, Bathtub Gin especially, but a lot of other speakeasies as well, they do full free pours, which means there's no pour spout. And you actually count just through the bottle itself, like just how you pour a bottle. And that's a really amazing way to learn as well, just how much ounces that you are putting in the drinks. It's just crazy, the science on it. But they also keep that true because there were no measuring back in the day either.
Have you tried I think it's called High West whiskey out of Utah?
Oh, yes. I love them. Yes, I have that at my bar.
It's so good. Like, who imagined Mormons could make such a good fucking whiskey, right?
Right. No, and their rye. Okay, their rye is amazing as well.
Is it?
I tell them, I say screw bullet, go High West. Yeah,
High West is so tasty. It's like, man, it's fucking delicious. Yeah.
I don't know what they do.
Who knows? Because Mormons, I don't think they can drink their religion. I could be wrong.
Well, to my knowledge, they weren't either, but I think there are certain sects that it's okay. Yeah. Like you think of Utah, I mean, there's Mormons out there drinking. It's just, I don't know how many. That's something to ask them.
Yeah, definitely true. Yeah. I mean, like there's Muslims who eat pork, Christians, you do like unchristian things, Sorry, that's true. But yeah.
Right, you're right. Yeah.
But that High West, it is delicious. It's like,
Okay, now you're making oh my God, I want it now.
That is definitely delicious. Yeah. You want to do a smoked mezcal next?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I got 2 more glasses.
Oh, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise,
so we'll finish this.
I'm still gonna chug it. After my plane ride last night, I could use a drink. I was on the coldest plane. I was like freezing. So I did not sleep well.
So what's in your like I'm pretty sure you have an extensive bar. Like what's like your like mainstays in your bar, like as far as bourbons and drinks and stuff? Like what do you like your go-to, so to speak, or
Hmm. You mean like on the business side or at home bar?
oh shit.
Yeah.
We'll do business side first, yeah.
Because again, price point.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it simple. And you do still want to kind of go recognizable brands. Some people are just too afraid sometimes to go off.
Yeah, like this Frank August, like I'm sure no one knows what Frank August is. Right?
I'd be very surprised if many people knew that. Even there, gosh, like if like the rum's not Bacardi, they don't know what else to order sometimes.
And if people don't realize Bacardi is like, if you go to the Caribbean, it's like shit rum,
Right, it's considered their well.
Yeah,
and then it is like, it has an amazing history. It's a great rum.
Great story.
And it is just mass produced, so it is going to be cheaper as well on that side. And there is no regulation with rums. Rums can also be just whatever you put in it.
Better rums out
there. Yeah. I do have a preference on rum, and some people think a lot of silver booze, rum or vodka, like doesn't have other profiles, but I still find.
So this is top of my head. I wonder how come someone never started like a Jack Sparrow rum.
That is actually a good point, and maybe there is one. I could almost Google that one. There's got to be somebody.
Somebody had to start. I mean, of course you think Johnny Depp. Well, how come Johnny Depp didn't start a fucking?
Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah, Johnny Depp needs to have his own. Everyone else is doing the damn tequilas.
A Jack Sparrow rum.
Mm-hmm. Now I can say, like, so this mezcal here, they're trying to get into the U.S. So just again with laws and distributions, I can't imagine the red tape some of these people are trying to get through. So maybe there is one, but maybe they only do it in the Caribbean, and we just can't get it in the U.S.
Yeah,
and that is hardest part, especially as a bartender that does travel sometimes. Like, let's say there's something in, I don't know, Amsterdam. Like actually, I'll take a real example. There's this amazing, it's a birch tree liqueur from Iceland.
Okay.
And you can only get it there. Really cheap. It's like $20 a bottle. But they have the actual oak leaves in the bottle just kind of seeping up. And it's so delicious. It's the coolest thing. Yes, it kind of does taste like you're licking a tree, but I do like that taste. I'm from Chicago. I love Malort. So that says a lot about me. So I would love to put this amazing, it's such a smooth, almost bourbon-esque, but it's technically considered a schnapps. And I can't get it here. Yeah. There's no way.
I mean, of course, those laws to keep stuff out of the country, I understand that. But some of the stuff, like when I was in Vietnam, I got bit of some mosquitoes, right? Mm-hmm. And my friend's wife's uncle gave me this thing called Tiger Balm, right?
Yes, I love Tiger Balm.
And I was like, oh my God, this is a god thing. But
I got in Thailand,
yeah, but supposedly you can't bring it over. Even all the ingredients are like natural stuff. You're not supposed to bring it to the United States for some reason. Or come along, like, are you kidding me? Right? This is like the best thing ever. It's like no itching, no nothing.
Right. And there is a Tiger Balm here now, but I don't think it's the same stuff in there. Yeah. Actually, so one of my favorite vodkas is Russian Standard. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, with what's going on now in the world, we've pulled it out, and it is what it is. Yeah. But when I was traveling, I had gone to, I think it was Greece. I had gotten it, and it was a ginseng infused Russian Standard vodka. Most delicious thing I've ever had. Yeah. But apparently it's not allowed in the US because you're not allowed to have any booze that's considered medicinal advertised. And so I remember I had to give it away to one of my Aussie friends. And I'm like, I'm flying out today. Here's the rest of my bottle. I can't even bring this in. I can't even check it in my luggage. Like, I probably could have gotten away with checking my luggage, but
yeah, I mean, you got to take risks.
Yeah.
I forgot all this, didn't I?
Whoopsie. Or I didn't know. Like, I just know as a bartender about these weird laws that someone else would have never known. But I know I couldn't get it at the airport duty free.
It's crazy. Like the Tiger Balm, like the United States, like you literally spray 10 gallons of stuff in your itch and never goes away. It doesn't work at all. Mm-hmm. It's like little tiny piece of Tiger Balm.
Super concentrated. Oh probably. My God.
Yeah. It's crazy how so many countries do things better than us, right?
Right. And then with all this technology, think there'd be more of a melting pot.
Yeah.
But once it comes down to money, you know,
yeah. And all that.
And who knows what goes behind the back doors of these large companies. And it's just like, I have my hands are tied. Like,
yeah. Way above my pay grade, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right, let me get these 2 glasses over here.
Yes. All right. I'll get some more wood prepped here. Now, again, I'm not sure how applewood will taste with this mezcal. So we are going to be guinea pigs on this. And again, it's just the fun learning experience. And I can't imagine it not working out. I just love booze.
Yeah.
But
and for those of you watching, if you want the full effect of alcohol, do a 9-day fast first, 9-day water fast first, and have a drink. And
I sure haven't eaten yet either. So last night when I got off my plane at 9 p.m. was the last time I had a sandwich. Yeah.
So what's the difference between mezcal and tequila?
So when you have your so tequila is kind of the same as, again, the champagne. It has to be in certain regions of Mexico, where mezcal or agave spirits, which is also the way people get around it. You can do it in other places, other towns, and mezcals are smoked. It's like the bourbon of tequilas, I don't like to say. And what they do, because I actually went to one of the farms, and agaves, some of these take 25 years to grow.
That's like a plant, right?
Yeah.
It's like a cactus.
Yeah. It's so agave, you'll see it on a lot of bottles. This one you can't see quite as well. So it has these staves, like a pineapple stave. Like it's like a pineapple, basically. Yeah. So they actually call it a piña. Okay. So, but it's larger. So it's like a 1 kilo size plant that can take up to 25 years or more. Just depends on the type of agave plant you're putting in. And I have a video of myself axing one, and this thing is ginormous. So it's the piña part. So the part that looks like the pineapple, but it doesn't have a taste like a pineapple. And you chop, people do it by hand. They're chopping it by hand. And then they put in this big pit and they smoke it. And that's where you get that smoky flavor, where a lot of other places just mash it. And it goes from the mash to, turning into the alcohol and distilling, where this one takes those extra steps to smoke it, cook it. They flip it. And holy cow, like the taste is amazing. And again, it doesn't quite matter where it's coming from, in a sense, because there's certain elevations that have certain tequilas and there's certain elevations that have mezcals. So that's another beast that you could break down, later. So this mezcal I had gotten at the farm that I had gone to, and there's tons of flavors between the different agave plants. And what's really cool is there was one, I don't remember the name, but it's named after a Polish guy. So it's like Zerwinski. It was actually really funny because you have the little.
That's so random. That's so random.
Yeah. And I remember like, well, this doesn't look like it's Spanish. Okay. So apparently that particular one had a minty flavor, and I actually have one of those too. And that one I wouldn't turn an old fashioned. It's more just a sipper, but it really does taste like mint. This one, because it has the worm in it, it gives you like an extra umami feel, and almost, I'm not sure if sweet is technically the right word, but it definitely changes to you're not just getting the smoky feel. There's something in the back. I can't really explain. Maybe you'll figure it out when I make these, but.
So make yours first.
Oh, okay.
So does mezcal and tequila only come from Mexico?
Yes. Okay. At least that I know of. I don't even think you're allowed. Tequila, you're not allowed for sure. Mezcal, maybe you can kind of get away with it outside, but if you do make quote unquote tequila, you have to call it an agave spirit. You're not allowed to call it tequila. Okay. So there are people in California that make it, and then it's just called agave spirit. Okay. So I don't know if you want to smell mine beforehand. Not a whole lot to it, but what's nice, it's not like when you get a tequila and you get that weird nose and you're just like, ooh, college.
Smells like bad things about to happen.
Did you ever do like the too many Patron shots or too many Jaegers or is there any like booze you ever had? You're like, I can't do this again because I went way too hard on it.
Okay, here's an interesting story. So my younger days, right? I got drunk off wild turkey one time, right? And like to this day, the smell of it, that I can't take it, right? I wild turkey, right? And so like I can't smell it, I can look at it. If I see the Ward's wild turkey, I get sick, right?
Yeah.
So fast forward. So I used to go deep sea fishing and I've told this story before on the podcast. To go deep sea fish every year. So one year I was with my couple of friends, my son. And so, you know, you got to be there Westport at 5 a.m, the signing stuff. The boat leaves at 6, right? Of course, everyone has a little coolers and stuff with drinks, sandwiches, right? And so these two dudes, they have to be in the 60s, 70s, right? And you just tell like they lived a whole life in the sea, right? But they look sea, right? And they had this big ass cooler, right? They put the cooler on the boat. And by 6:30, the one old guy told the other old guy, "Hey, can we get started now?" Well, shit, we said I started pretty soon as we woke up. I'm surprised we waited this long, right? These motherfuckers broke out a gallon of fucking raw turkey. A fucking gallon. And they had a case of Schaefer Light.
Oh, gosh.
And it gets better.
But wait, there's more.
These motherfuckers finished it all they started at 6:30, done at 7:30.
No.
Yes. The only reason you knew, because the captain came to him and said, "Hey, all your trash you put in the trash can, you need to put it somewhere else because this is for like everyone else, right?" And so empty gallon of wild turkey, 24 empty Schaefer cans. We're like, oh my God. Of course, I'm done, right? I'm fucking sick as shit. I have to go lay in the bed, right? And like my trip's fucked. But of course I get up once in a while. And so of course there's a limit on like salmon fishing. Let's say we had a limit of 100. They were the fish versus. They caught 95 out of 100 fishes.
Wow.
It was like the fish was jumping up.
They just knew.
Yeah, it's like the fish would jump up to them, right?
They're sweating the booze out of them, probably. Yeah. And it's like, hey,
and it's like,
Jesus, party is over here.
It's like, talk about functional alcoholics, right? It was like, and they were talking, joking around, no stumbling.
Functioning.
Yeah, like the words were not slurred. It's like, I mean, it's like, if they got put over, like driving a car, of course they took the breathalyzer, they would fail, but they said, hey, do all these agility tests and speaking, like, you know, say alphabet backwards.
Exactly, yeah.
Say back perfectly, right?
No problem. Yeah, I got this.
And I'm like, to this day, we were like dumbfounded, like, oh my God.
I've known a few people that really can do it.
But like fucking a gallon and a case of Schaefer. So I don't know what's worse, the case of the gallon of wild turkey or the case of Schaefer.
It's like, okay, first you have the turkey. Okay. But then you're like putting this weird layer that does it float or does it sink inside, or does it just like swirl inside your stomach? I don't know. Yeah, there's viscosity differences.
Like, what the fuck is inside your stomach? Like, God damn.
You just got foam on top.
Like fucking, you have like nothing but acid in there, like killing all the alcohol and shit, you know?
Hey, you know, if you had any bacteria, it's gone now. You're done.
I know you're cured. I know you have no liver.
Yeah, right.
Your liver,
or 2 of them, maybe. I don't know.
It's like, man, I tell the story a lot on the podcast. It's like the part that's interesting, like just the fuck, like this, the look on everyone's face, like what the fuck? It's like everyone on the boat, like, what the fuck is on right now, right? They're drinking shots, and of course we're looking like the smell's horrible. They're having a good time talking about old fishing stories, right? You know, everyone's laughing, like, what the fuck is going on right now? Is this real? Whew. Yeah.
I was like, I have to go to work later today, so we're gonna see how I function. I did bring us special bitters too.
Okay.
So normally if I make a mezcal old fashioned, because mezcal can be a little strong, you mix it maybe like 1/3 to 2/3 actually tequila. And then you put a little chocolate bitters in it, because what's better than like Oaxaca? So mezcal technically is Oaxacan.
Okay.
If there is anything on the outside edges, I just don't know my knowledge, but it might exist. But specifically, Oaxaca really is where the mezcal's at.
Okay.
And Mexican, I don't know if you have Mexican chocolate before.
Oh. So
Mexican chocolate has spices, like little bits of pepper and red pepper, black pepper, some cinnamon. And if you get a Mexican hot chocolate anytime, highly recommend. So typically, like,
so I'm actually going to Mexico January 23rd or 29th to visit my friend that lives down there. And what's even better, he owned he opened up a bar up down there.
Oh, you're gonna have such a good time. I'm so jealous.
And so he lives 30 miles east of that tourist place, Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Vallarta.
I can never say it either. Yeah, I can never say it either. Yeah.
I did mine without ice cube on this one.
Okay.
And I put 1 dash of chocolate just to smooth it out a bit. I don't know if you want to try that, but I can make yours with some ice and just do the regular old fashioned again.
Good. Yeah. Make it however you want to.
Yeah. We can compare notes.
So another drinking story. So when I was in the Army, when I first joined the Army, I was like 18, 19 years old. And me and my friend Kyoki is like still one of my best friends to this day. And so we were stationed in Gibbelstadt. And so one time, me, him, and this other guy, I can't remember his name, we drove up to Saxon House. It was like basically like the 6th Street of Frankfurt, right? And so we just found this club, right? And 3 of us are drinking, right? Back then it was Dutch marks. We each spent 150 Dutch marks on Jägermeister, right? We took 150 dollars. I think it's like maybe $75 back then,
Yeah.
And so we basically like drunk Jägermeister from like 8 p.m. to like 11 p.m., right? I mean, like, we both went and got more money, right? And drunk some more. And so we're drinking all night. Like, we're drunk as shit. And actually, my friend Alan came with us for 2, right? But Alan went to go visit his girlfriend and said, we'll meet, in the car like 3 in the morning, right? Alan told us, even though I know the car was that, I knew it was y'all. I could smell the alcohol from like a mile away.
Okay, so did you end up getting the Jaeger out of the tap out of the walls? Have you seen any of those?
No.
I haven't done it either, but I've seen them. And apparently they make, they do this with beer too in Europe sometimes too, because they put one tap that's chilled and one tap that's not. So one for the international people, usually the Americans that want it cold.
Definitely, yeah.
And then they're like, no, there's just Jaeger, you just do it right? It's straight. So do they, I haven't been to that city. I've only been in the south side of Germany and Dusseldorf, and that's about it. So do they drink the beer warm or cold in that city?
Cold,
yeah, okay.
Cold, yeah. Man, if only one way they could make real German beer over here.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was stationed in Germany for the first time for 2 years, like I was 18, 19, drink whatever. I came back to the States for like vacation. I'm like, and like, it's not exaggeration. I got back with my friends. I literally drank a case of Budweiser by myself, right?
Oh, just to get your beer water in?
Yeah, it was like, fuck, this is some bullshit right here. What the fuck is this, right? Like, oh my God, you're alcoholic, Jason. No, dude, this is fucking piss water. You have no idea what real beer tastes like.
Sometimes, like, you just want to go, when you go back home, you're just like, I just want to go to McDonald's and get my American McDonald's. Yeah. Like, or just, you just need that at home feeling when you do. Yeah. You're just going to sit for a little. Okay. Woohoo. Oh, yeah, I'm already feeling it.
So what's in your personal bar?
Yeah, usually it's items around the world that I can't get. That's typically what I do. Because again, one nice thing about being in the industry, we call it the homie hookup. We're allowed to give away shift drinks. Okay. So like usually when you work at a bar, you get like maybe the drink or 2, or you get 3 drinks, or you get like a, hey, $50 worth for the week. Depending on where you work, you can give away certain amounts. Or if you're a regular, hey, you had 4 beers, your 5th beer's on me. So certain places are allowed to do that. So when you're in the industry, again, it's kind of with this same theory where the whole tipping money is just like floating around, never actually getting used. It's kind of the same. We give our shifties out to each other. So someone else, if I'm working and let's say you're coming in from your bar that just closed and you come and see me, I'm going to give you my shifty drink. And it's just a nice little community treat, I guess to say. And it's really nice that bar owners and restaurant owners, probably not corporate. I haven't worked in a corporate. I don't know. I've never worked in a corporate bar, but they probably give you like discounts and stuff. But yeah.
Is there like a bar, certain name bar or dive bar or some location you want to bartend at?
That I know of. I do want to open my own bar. I actually did put a bid in recently, but unfortunately it's really rough out there. They ended up paying sticker price. So even the price I was even going for was apparently they couldn't even counter with me because this other person just swooped in and said, outright, I'll buy it. Like I'll rent it. So my goal is to have my own bar. Uh, there are some really cool bars in Dubai, which is really interesting. And you can get in there. It's a little more challenging, especially as a woman. And then because a lot of Dubai locals don't drink, so you're just kind of catering to tourists.
All the international tourists.
Yeah. So, but your budget is like way up here to do really amazing things.
But the tourists have big money though.
Exactly. And you have to be eccentric, creative, you have to look good. Now with Instagram, especially,
There's all your Dubai stuff there. Like,
yeah, you got to have something very unique.
You got to be outlandish.
Exactly.
See some crazy shit like we have live pink flamingos walking around, or some crazy shit.
A penguin serves your drink at this point. Yeah,
people serve your drink.
Exactly. So I think that would be fun, and like a challenge too. Like, how outlandish could I go? And then how outlandish? Like, also, how do you top it without ruining the integrity of a cocktail? And that is a hard balance to find too, and not make it. You hear about tourist spots, right? So. And you hear about frozen drinks, blue drinks. There's certain cocktails that now people start to think, oh, that's just vacation drinks. Mm-hmm. And so you don't want to get too much on that side either. I'm assuming if you were going to Dubai, I feel like you kind of want to do both. I mean, you see ice cream with gold flakes on it. That is, again, not going to affect the taste of the ice cream.
The vending machines with the gold bricks in it,
Yeah.
People driving around with the Mercedes or fucking...
The police, I think, own Ferraris. Yeah. So then, but there's that gold flaked ice cream better taste damn good if I'm spending $3,000 on a scoop. Yeah. So I think that'd be a challenge. But yeah, I want to open it. I want to open up a place.
Okay. Yeah. Any certain neighborhood you want to open up there in Seattle? I
mean, I love this Pioneer Square area. We're gonna have the World Cup. It's gonna be a fun time.
Man,
I mean, mad.
I gotta get tickets there. I gotta get tickets. I'm not a big soccer fan. I got.
I think it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's gonna be just like amazing people.
Like Pioneer Square is an interesting place, right? Like, so example, I'll tell a story. So when I was trying to find a new place for my podcast, because I used to do my podcast in spaces a couple blocks away, but it was like maybe 100 square feet, and they increased my rent from 1,000 to 2,000 a month. Like, I'm not paying this shit. This is fucking ridiculous. So I was trying to find a new place, right? And my guy, who's a real estate, hey, check this place out in Pioneer Square.
Salud.
Cheers, my friend.
Yes.
Check this place in Pioneer Square, right? And he said, keep open mind. So first time I went there, like all this, for lack of better, all the riff raffles around, like, dude, I can't do a podcast here. Like, no one's gonna feel safe. All this kind of stuff, Man, say, Jason, man, just give it a chance. Come look at it. I came in here like, oh my God, this is fucking perfect, right? The brick wall, like it's fucking perfect, right?
These walls, I can't imagine how old they are.
I know.
And I had to look it up because I actually worked underground because in Seattle, kids at home again, Chicago fire. You had the first floor and you had to build up. It's same exact story here.
It's crazy how many cities are like that.
Right. The fires just reset to something, one that's probably an engineer's dream for one, because then they can reset everything, right? But yeah, just the history, and it's still there. But I had to look up the lime calcium buildup that's going on. You can't get rid of it. It just apparently comes with age and it just crumbles. But it's just so neat that it hasn't been changed, and that has been there before I was born. For you were born.
Definitely. And so Kim looked at the place. I mean, like, this is like 387, almost 400 square feet. They want like 545, like 545 versus 2,400 square feet. It's like, okay, my guests gotta fucking suck it up.
Yeah.
Right. And it's an interesting neighborhood. Like next door to us, like a really good Korean restaurant. There's a decent Italian restaurant. There's all these nice places to eat at, during the summertime, they do like live music every weekend. Yeah. This did like a Christmas something. So while you were gone, they did like a
the ice skating rink.
Ice skating rink had like a bunch of like booths set up for holiday stuff. There's always cool stuff going on. And of course, like there's and then I want to tell us like there's gospel missions right here, right? Then like have you drug free, get in there. It's different things. So you just. But one thing with me, maybe it's me. Like none have been aggressive. Like no one's like done anything to me, right? So I just walk by, of course, like yeah, actually last night, this guy was in the streets like fucking like yelling and stuff, talking to the tree, but it's definitely an interesting place. Pioneer Square is definitely a good place.
My goodness, yes. And I think one thing, so I actually live and also work down here too.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it's quiet. Now, of course, it's a little more quiet because everyone's not back in the office still.
Yeah.
There's still plenty of people they're at home. So it is a little more dead here now,
Yeah.
which will probably like pick up for another year. But it's such a small community.
Yeah.
It's tight.
I
feel like I live in a great Mayberry. At the same time, I'm still in a dingy, eclectic underground.
It's definitely grimy. Yeah. Like a couple of times, I spent the night here, because I work and stuff. I didn't want to drive home. Like I wake up and I go like outside at 3 a.m. It's like fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Like no homeless people, nothing's out.
Not a bird.
You walk
those
around.
Seabirds,
you walk around, walking the water. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting neighborhood, right? It's good, right? And then you have like the Taylor's Fish. I think it's called Taylor's Fish House restaurant down the road. The different coffee shops.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And of course the stadium is like within walking distance.
Yeah, and it's so amazing how the city comes alive when there's an event.
Oh yeah.
It just complete switch to like nothing to crowded streets. People from all over the world come in.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like one time I did a podcast on Saturday and 1 in the morning. Like, oh shit, kind of fucked up. There's a Sounders game right now, so you might want to come like right now to park or like figure something else out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I street park still because
street park.
I'm thankful. Okay, one nice thing about the whole pandemic is, again, no one coming to work, so I'm still finding street parking. I haven't actually had to rent my garage in 4 years now. I think 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I do the street parking. Sometimes of course I play the parking street. We'll let you know.
Yeah. Play the parking game.
Yeah,
God.
I play the parking game, and like I've had a couple of tickets. So of course, pay. Sometimes I don't. It's probably not a good thing to say, but like.
No, I got a boot recently.
And when you think about it, the parking rate in the street is not fucking crazy expensive either.
No, at the most I think it's $16 a day by the time you actually play the game and switch sides of the roads and all that. Yeah.
And one thing that's crazy, like if you like call on the phone, like suppose you do parking for like 8 to 10, and you use a phone. You cannot park here no more.
Yeah, but the secret.
Yeah, but if you just put the card in the machine, you just keep the car there and go on and on. Right?
Yep. I keep thinking about the Seinfeld episode where they hired Kramer and he had to switch the cars back and forth across the street, and it's like it's the same cars. We just need to just go on the other side of the street.
Yeah, it's almost the same, right? And of course, so this is kind of random, right? So one time I was like by Pike's Place Market, right? And I walked from Pike's Place Market here, right? This one day, absurd, just totally random, right? I think I was walking down First Avenue, and I walked past 4 parking ticket people, right?
Yep. But I know some of them by name now.
But no fucking police, and you see all these people fighting, doing stuff, right? Like what the fuck? So you're more concerned about giving people tickets versus like having police here taking care of crime.
I know, but they don't make money off of it.
Oh, of course not.
Those are the fun things. Yeah, I know it's such a struggle. And yes, we need the money. We need some improvements, but we need to find that balance between justice and money. And the pandemic really, with the whole, we can talk. That's a whole nother story. But again, you're trying to find that balance, and it's still, I don't see anything coming together until probably the cup. Honestly, they know they will get their stuff together. By the cup. Looking forward to it for
just like
many reasons.
Remember how the Major League Baseball All-Star game? They cleaned everything.
Yep. And then Taylor Swift the next week. Yeah.
One thing I thought was kind of fucked up was like they asked for volunteers, right? Like, that was so fucked up. Like, you want volunteers to do your fucking job? Like, we're paying people paying all these high taxes. You want volunteers to clean up? I thought that was bullshit.
I know, because what's minimum wage here now? $16.25.
$16.25.
Yeah. Like, really? You couldn't afford $16.25 and a free lunch, maybe a little box lunch or something.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Of course, the criticism. Oh, we cleaned up just for this event. Of course, you can't present the Major League All-Star game and like show all this fucking crap, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about the San Francisco one when
when that Asian conference came here.
Yeah, and the Chinese.
It was kind of. I admire his honesty. It was kind of fucked up when the governor said, "Yes, we cleaned it up just for this.
We literally swept under the rug."
Yeah. Yes.
and we put as much under the rug as we could.
Yes, we cleaned this for this event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw photos because they had all these fencing. I don't know if did you see photos?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all these fencing, and there's just nobody out there. And if you've ever been to San Francisco, we know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Seattle's pretty hardcore too, but San Francisco is a whole nother beast.
Oh yeah, it's a different level.
Yeah.
Well, people in Seattle, you haven't seen nothing go to San Francisco.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So another good story. So first time I go to San Francisco, I was there doing some business, and I caught the BART train for the first time, right? So I caught the BART from San Francisco down south, right?
Yeah.
And so on the BART, I heard a horror story, so I'm like kind of prepared, right? This dude, right? So you know when you're a little kid, you played like in the mud and stuff.
Oh
and then,
no!
And then like the sun dried it all, kicked it into you, right? This dude looked like that from foot to toe.
So he's like a clay statue at this point.
Yeah. And of course, the story gets better. No shoes. It's only has a sleeping bag.
Is he wearing the sleeping bag? Or is he holding a sleeping bag?
The sleeping bag is wrapped around him.
Okay, it's wearing him.
Around the middle part, right?
Okay.
So I probably has no clothes on, all right. And he's asking people, "Can you give me $1?" I'm like, dude, like I didn't say that out loud.
Yeah.
Dude, you need more than a fucking dollar.
No.
You need more than $1, right? You need someone like invest a year of life in you, right?
Yeah.
And first of all, like, how do you even get on the train, right? And then it's like he walked back and forth. Like I saw him walk by 3 or 4 times, right? Yeah, and that's my first day in San Francisco.
Oh, first day. Oh wow.
First day, yeah. Yeah, it's different down here, right?
Yeah, I have luckily had a really great time because there are a lot of trade shows in San Francisco. So I've luckily been pretty good.
Yeah. I love San Francisco, like, Candlestick, the Golden State Park, Fisherman's Wharf. I love Fisherman's Wharf.
It's also a bartender's paradise because all those bars are so old.
Yeah, I love Fisherman's Wharf.
I actually, so my bar dream, there's a place called the Black Horse. It is my favorite bar in the entire world. And I've been in a lot of places. They are the smallest bar, according to them, west of the Mississippi. I want to say it's 9 to 12 bar seats.
Okay.
And I think the fire code is like 23 or something. Okay. It is literally the size of this. The bar is the size of this table, right? And then we have people here. You're the bartender. A tiny little bathroom under these stairs that go up to an apartment. A very small little back room. And then you can kind of stand behind some people. The bartender and the owners are like amazing people. And here's a great part of the history of the Black Horse. White Horse up here. He's the original owner.
Oh, shit.
And then he opened the White Horse here.
Okay.
Sold his business. And I love to pick everybody's brains because, again, that's kind of part of my dream is I want a tiny little bar like this. But here's what's so cool, again, about history. And it's not really speakeasy, but there's no plumbing technically until you get to the bathroom area. So there's literally a bathtub of ice behind the bar where they put all the beer.
Okay.
They have one of those manual pump for one keg of special whatever you have. They have a charcuterie board that usually sells out in the first like 2 to 3 hours. Otherwise, you order pizza in, you bring in your own stuff, and there's no cell phones allowed.
Oh,
you have to be social.
Nice.
The only thing you're allowed to use your cell phone for is if you're talking and like, hey, I got to look up something with Google, or otherwise we're going to get into an argument, or take a picture.
Nice.
If you've got to talk, you go outside. You're not on your phone. You get the fuck out.
Nice.
Might all do that?
Yeah.
Okay, yay.
Want to.
And it's just such again, an eclectic group of people, not only there, but just all the bars.
Yeah.
But I specifically make sure I go there every time.
Yeah.
Because you feel like family, because they're going to get to know you. And then anyone else you meet on the patron side, you're going to have a good time. You feel like you're in Europe, and as a one girl alone, right? Like I travel alone all the time. And so being able to go somewhere where I'm comfortable.
Yeah. Definitely.
I know I'm not going to get like stalked or something, right? Like that's a place.
Yeah. That's important.
Yeah. And San Francisco in general, when you go to these bars, are a lot just friendly, awesome people who've been doing it for many, many years.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Bay Area. So one time, my niece lives there. She lives in a town of Antioch. I go for a while. So one time we went there to Fisherman's Wharf. It was just some kind of bar restaurant, Fisherman's Wharf. like, no, let's stop in, have a quick drink, we'll leave, right? And it was like, I don't want to say it's a girly drink, it was like, it's like a tall glass like this.
Mhm.
It's like different, almost like a pina colada or something like that, right?
Remember we talked about touristy drinks.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's definitely a touristy drink. And we were both drunk and we looked at each other and we were both at the same time, we cannot leave this place. Like we have to drink this until we're fucking like done, right? It was so fucking good. We cannot. It's like this is. I can say this is bad. I said it's like tastes like the greatest sex you ever had, right? It was so good, right?
It's an orgasm in your mouth.
Yeah,
I mean.
that's what it was. Okay, about that night. I told my niece Destiny, we can't leave this. Uncle Jason, yes, I don't want to leave either. We're gonna drink this forever, right?
Yeah. And that's what I love. Okay, San Francisco and also Pike Place, like both of those fisherman areas, right? Yes, they're touristy, but all the locals still go there because they know it's still quality.
It's quality.
It's not forced upon.
No.
In like some other places, you're like, yeah, you're right, pina colada, right? And it's just that focus. In this one, you know that drink was probably an original, true, like made with love.
Original recipe.
Yeah, they're not just like, these people just drink whatever. Like they made it with a care.
Yeah.
And that's what's so nice about that San Francisco area. Yeah.
But just like here, there's all the other extracurricular stuff going on, right?
Yeah. You don't get bored. That's for sure.
One time I went there and I went to like some kind of like a deli restaurant or whatever. This dude walked in and just said, and just started stealing stuff, right? Hey, you can't do that. He's like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Call the police?
Yeah.
Call the police? Ha ha ha. Yeah. Cussed him out, stole shit, walked out. Damn, dude. Like, how can you stay open, right?
Yeah. That's a shame.
Yeah, I need to go visit my niece again.
And where's she at?
Antioch down in San Francisco.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a cool place. Of course, all the fucking money's down there too, right? It's like all the investment money, all the VCs. It's crazy. Like, I think someone I did look at this little 3.5 mile area is worth more than every country in the world.
Yet there's still the Tenderloin.
Yep.
The Tenderloin still exists.
Yep.
And I don't think it's changed much.
No.
And it's just amazing. And hopefully we have, again, same with Seattle, and we can get into politics. That's a whole nother thing, but we just took some of that money and put it in there.
Yeah.
What could we change, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You want to talk politics?
Let's talk a little.
Okay. So what do you want to talk about first?
Well, I'll say this actually is rolling into the whole, have you heard about the Colorado thing where they're giving everybody $1,000 that's homeless and a house? They give them $1,000 a month and a house.
I haven't heard that.
So apparently, I want to say maybe 4 months, maybe 6 months. I'm not quite sure, but it's not like a year old yet, this program. And it's a test program.
Everyone in Colorado.
Homeless people.
Homeless people, okay.
So they'll give $1,000 and like a tiny home or an apartment. And they're finding that it's almost like a 65 to 85% success rate, because that's literally the jump start some of these people need, assuming they're sober.
Yeah, of course, what people jump on is like the 35% who fuck it up, right?
Right. And unfortunately usually just come to sobriety. And that's a whole nother story that I know the East Coast actually has a fairly successful trend going on there.
Well, Colorado, they first like legalized marijuana, first legalized
stuff, you know? Yeah.
Who thought
self-serve beer on tap?
Who thinks Colorado all fucking places, right?
Right. Yeah, middle of nowhere, just windy, dry, but then you go skiing. I don't know.
Yeah.
The blue unicorn or Pegasus, whatever it is.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely think we have to experiment with different things, right?
Yeah. But they're showing really good success with that program. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, who couldn't use $1,000 extra a month? Honestly, I think that would fix even middle class. Anybody, like if there was just.
But okay, pushing back on that, like $1,000 has to come. Of course, like a lot of people think Republicans are like fiscal. Republicans have not been fiscal since before George Bush II, right? Everyone's like, I mean, I think the federal budget has like quadrupled since like George Bush. Like, there's no such thing as that, right?
And we could also talk about Reagan.
Yeah, our great grandkids are fucked, right? But like, the money has to come from. It's come from debt spending. I mean, if you print money off, there's inflation. Like $1,000 times all the homeless people, it has to be a lot of money, right?
So here's what the argument is. Supposedly, it's like 1 point something million to just keep people from overdosing and bringing them back. Like like a year. Just some extravagant number I can't even think of right now that it isn't $1,000 a month. Let's say it's not $12,000 a year to take care of a homeless person who is overdosing, who's doing anything.
Yeah.
I remember reading about the budgets here, and it's in the millions.
Yeah.
And apparently, if you do 1,000 and let's say the rent for that tiny home, they probably get a deal anyway. They're government, right? So let's just say $650 a month, which is pretty cheap, and especially in Denver.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Denver's almost the same as us when it comes to rent. Rent here is, you're lucky to find a place for $1,800 a month for 600 square feet.
2,000 for a studio.
Yeah.
With no windows.
I know people renting a bedroom for $1,000 a month. Yeah. And so
here's the crazy thing. I've seen this on some kind of social media. I don't know if it's true or not, but this person was written half of his bed for $1,000 a month.
No, I never heard this.
Yeah, I gotta find it.
Kind of creepy.
It's very fucking creepy.
I'm looking for a cuddle buddy for $800 a month.
It's very fucking creepy. My thing is like, suppose what if you're a guy, you're straight, and some other guy says, "I'll do it for you." Right? You're gonna turn him down? Like, that's like
where are your sacrifices lying? Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? Put like a fucking barrier in the bed? Like, what the fuck is this? Right?
Right. I would rather sleep on the floor next to the bed.
Yeah.
No, I don't care who it is. If I just don't know them,
I ain't lying. I'd sleep on the fucking street.
Yeah, or the bathtub. Bathtub's a nice place. I don't know if you've done that in the summers without air conditioning before. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. I've been there. A couple ice cubes, cold water. You just
But it's ridiculous, right? What were we talking about again?
No, we're just talking about like the homeless budget.
Oh, yeah, homeless budget.
But again, $12,000 plus whatever they're renting is still cheaper.
I mean, people make that in a month.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Especially in Seattle.
Exactly. And again, Denver's kind of the same thing. They got their own tech boom going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my one friend who does live down there, her rent has quadrupled probably in the last 8 years. And I heard it's hard to find a place. And it's just interesting that, let's say between the rent and the $1,000 a month, we'll say it's 30 grand a year per person. Again, opposed to possibly 100,000 plus. Again, I remember I've seen this huge number. It was per person, because what they're doing is they're taking them to the hospital all the time. So once you get a person sober, where they can have a job, they can get a job as long as they have a mailbox and a house, and everyone deserves it, right?
That's what people don't realize.
They all deserve a house.
People don't realize you can't get a job without an address.
Yeah. It's impossible. Yeah, absolutely impossible. And if you don't have the right paperwork, you don't have the right just direction. And thankfully, those people do want to change. I've definitely been at my low in my life. I actually did live out in my car for a few weeks, way back in the day in Chicago. Just really, my jobs, my bar actually had gone out of business, and I was without a job. It was slow season for trade shows, so I was in a really big slump. I don't have a big family or anything. Couldn't really ask.
So what kind of car was it? Because you're a big girl.
So so my stuff was in my car. I remember I only slept 2 nights in my car.
Okay.
Chrysler Sebring convertible.
That had to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
Had to be uncomfortable.
Yes. And
how do you get even sleep?
You just sleep in the car.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're just so exhausted. And I definitely slept in some people's sofas. I didn't tell my family.
Of course not.
So, and just, I have a tiny, tiny family. I literally just have like my dad. I have an aunt, and then I have a handicapped brother. That's it. And then I have a cousin, that cousin in Kosovo. That's actually my dad's cousin. So really, she's like a second cousin, third removed or whatever. Yeah. So, that's it. Yeah. So I wasn't gonna stress my dad. I knew it was only temporary. Yeah. And I only drink. I don't really do anything else. So it wasn't like anything happened. So I wanted work, but even in my situation, like I had to kind of just sleep on people's friends' couches and go around, and it freaking sucks. And I get it. And I've had people come into my bar be like, "Hey, I'm homeless. Do you guys have any food you're going to throw out?" And I'm like, unfortunately, our bar is so great in a sense, it's really good at no food waste. Yeah. So unfortunately, I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, but again, we do live around a bunch of places with amazing missions that give lunches. I'm like, hey, there's 3 missions over here. They'll find you something.
Yeah. Seattle definitely has a lot of great organizations doing stuff,
Yeah. they're always feeding everybody, and that's pretty cool.
So I did this experiment one time. One day I kind of one good thing about maybe it's not a good thing, but most homeless people in Seattle don't ask for anything, right?
Mhm.
Like maybe once a few do, but one time I counted all the homeless people walked by, right? It's like 25. I thought to myself,
Low. Yeah.
yeah, I thought to myself, if I gave each of these dudes $1
Mhm.
and then times that by 365,
Mhm.
it's not doable, right?
No,
You can't do it.
no. What is that? Yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah, especially with how much things cost, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's amazing how inflation and just demand just skyrocketed. I remember I could
Yeah.
get a whole 1-bedroom place apartment in Chicago, and here it was around 850.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah. And you were that was the nice place,
Yeah.
right? Like you were on the 30th floor
Yeah.
somewhere for 850.
Had a nice view and stuff.
Yeah. Maybe not quite as updated,
Yeah.
but it had everything you needed. Air conditioning, heating, all the
You were
works.
safe, that kind of stuff.
Yep. And now you're lucky to get it for 2000.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So you live in this neighborhood?
I do.
Um,
Mhm.
how long you live here?
Want to say about 7 years.
Okay.
And then
So
I've worked here for 9 years.
you have like an apartment, a condo, or
Apartment. Yeah.
apartment?
So I'm
Okay.
still paying rent. Yeah.
Okay. And so it's like, does it come with a garage? Is that kind of stuff?
Got to
Just-
pay extra.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just doing the street parking thing.
I pay $2,200 a month, and I've been very lucky. No one's ever raised it.
Okay. Is it on the street or is like where like, don't tell the address, of course, but like where?
Yeah. It's I mean, it's overlooking the water.
Okay.
So I do have a very nice view.
Okay.
But a funny story is best move I ever had is I literally moved next door. So I had a street view,
Mhm.
and then I literally moved next door when my neighbor moved out. It was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life.
Nice.
And so yeah, now I get to see the water where I would kind of just see the street, and you could still, we call it a slice of water.
Yeah.
It's a slice.
Yeah,
Now I
slice
do
of
get the
water.
whole
Okay.
point. So again, it kind of wrap around where we were talking before. When I go home, I feel like I'm on vacation a little bit.
Yeah.
That does help. I get to look at the sound and watch the
Nice.
sunsets, and it really just makes a whole difference. But I guess the reason I got into this building particularly was because it felt like that.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to find places with balconies. So I got a place with a balcony.
Oh,
There's a few out there.
Yeah.
But it's just so much more worth it to get that fresh sea air. Yeah, get that vitamin D, especially in Seattle. Like in the wintertime, if there's 10 minutes of light that comes in, I am out there sitting with a hot tea. I'm in a little robe or something, but I'm still getting some sun. And for the price that I'm getting now is pretty good compared to other places that don't have it. And I'm just going to hope it still stays that way.
Yeah, no doubt. So I've said this before, this is my solution to the homeless problem, right? And of course, I'll tell you how, after this, how I'm a hypocrite, right? So my solution is this, like, every homeless person has to have someone that loves them, right? A friend, a father, a cousin, someone, right? Or like,
Community helps it.
Like suppose you got to email something like, hey, your cousin John Bob's homeless, he needs help. Obviously, you're going to go help him out, right?
Yeah.
Like, but me being a hypocrite, I would tell no one. I would not fucking help,
You don't want to bother anyone.
No.
You want to, no, I understand.
It's my problem, right? But like, has to be some kind of way where like people go through, like, get information. Where's your family from? Of course, you can't make them tell, but like, yeah.
Well, actually, so I don't know if you remember the guy. Well, actually, back now. So he used to sleep in front of the post office.
Yeah, him, that black guy.
Yeah, he's shoot, I forgot his name. Darn it. Okay, so all the wonderful people at Central, they really know him. And what was cool was his daughter actually found him.
Okay.
She's from California, found him after years, brought him back. He came back because he doesn't like that lifestyle.
Yeah.
He has to be on the street now.
This is a story I was told. So there's a guy. So I got here in March, right? And so I see him every day, right? So I think June or July, this guy upstairs I talked to us, hey, what's the deal with this dude in the front of the post office? And he said, hey, I've been here for 6 years, but I was told he's lived in the front of the post office for 12 years. People try to help him. You want to take help. They think it's dementia, But like, what can you do about that, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, there's no law that says, you're forcibly put him somewhere. It's like,
Yeah, and again, it's a choice, which is sometimes it's interesting to think about that he's chosen that spot, and he's also like again, there's so many shelters, but he still chooses to be right out there, and he's a really cool guy. Like I've observed him. I haven't really completely talked to him.
yeah, he's nice.
I'm not
He's,
usually in that area a whole lot. Yeah,
yeah,
but I know he like one of the bars have given him a seat, so during busy times he'll like watch the street and
yeah.
like watch over things
He's
and
almost like a security guard.
kind of, yeah. Or the maybe he's kind of the gossip girl too, you know, it's like, hey, I saw this today. Did you hear about this? You know?
So one time this happened like a while ago, right? It was like early in the morning, like 6, 7 in the morning. And these two homeless people, these two homeless females started fighting, right? He got up, he actually broke it up.
Mhm. Okay, yeah, yeah.
He broke it up.
Vigilante then. Yeah.
He like broke it up, right? What the fuck you doing, right? You can't do this here, right?
And the lovely thing about all the locals that have been here for a while, like we do know some of them by name, and they really are like the mayors of the area. And when new people come in, they make sure, hey, you behave because this is my home too.
Yeah.
You know?
But here's the thing to do, like your daughter Kim got you right. Man, like you would think, I mean, you think, man, you know, I mean, you love the street more than your daughter, right?
Mhm.
Your daughter will also be at home and stuff, you know, like, and it had to break his daughter's heart.
And maybe correct. It might have been niece. Now I'm thinking about. But
Okay.
either way,
Either way,
family member,
either family member had to break the heart, right?
right? And
Had to break the heart.
brought him back, and it was by his choice too. I mean, he obviously went, but then apparently it just didn't compete. But you also hear about that, like with people who continually go through the prison system, they just
Go back
know
to the
that
time.
life more than whatever life they're putting into mainstream. Very interesting, like how disconnected or in their own side that path.
And like the guy upstairs say he has dementia, supposedly, you know, stuff probably plays a part of, you know, and then like, what do you do? Like, do you put him in a mental home, you know, like,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
like I say, people smarter than me with way more money haven't figured this out yet.
Right. And you don't know I don't know where that line is where you become a ward of the state either, you know, and he's obviously able to hold a conversation and everything. So
But you would think someone's like, okay, this dude's been here for 12 years.
that's, yeah.
We got to do something, right?
But think about it. Have you lived somewhere 12 years? That's your home. I haven't even lived in this apartment of mine for 12 years yet. Like, I can't imagine living somewhere for 12 years and being like, okay, bye. That's hard for everybody.
Oh, no, man. It's like, that's.
But I like heat. I need a heater. So, but he's doing great, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, like, he walk and he goes somewhere at night, right? Like,
sometimes, but in the summer, I know he's out there just, you know, being the guard of the post office. And I know the post
maybe that's how he gets value, right? My value community is like, I make sure this happens at the post office, you know?
Mm-hmm. And yeah. And again, he's the mayor of the post office. Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, and there's another girl that comes around. Her name's Sheila. She's a sweetheart. She has her own thing going on, and we know usually where to find her. And a lot of times, when we don't see her for a while, again, in our, like, especially the bartender communities, we will be like, hey, has anyone seen Sheila in a while? We're kind of concerned about her. And it's just really neat that you have, again, still have that community within different layers of society. Mm-hmm. And she'll look out. She'll be like, oh, hey, how are you? Like, are you okay? Or if I drop something, she'll be like, you dropped something. Where someone else would be like, oh, it's mine now, right? Yeah. She kind of looks out for people. Mm-hmm.
So another thing, like all these people, like, down the luck, you have to think, like, what decisions did they make in the past to put them here, right? And of course, some of it's like not their fault, you know, but like, you know, somebody like maybe turned down a job or took a job, they got fired, or they did something wrong. Like, what decisions they made in the past? Like,
right.
Because I mean, I could be wrong, but no one, like, you know, becomes homeless, right? Like,
you don't start off usually. Yeah.
This decision points that happen.
At least in America, you don't usually start off.
Yeah. Either through your fault or someone's fault where you get fucked around and you get homeless, right?
Sometimes chemical dependencies. I do know one of my best friends who's, she still kind of does. But she definitely was more full-time before she had her kid. Worked in a NICU warrant.
Yeah.
And the NICU, with all the premature babies, a lot of them were premature from homeless people who were on drugs.
Yeah.
And so you get the drug addicted babies too. And I don't know what happens with them. They know they go back to their moms sometimes. And so do they have that chemical connection? I think that's still a study that's happening, you know, continually going on all the time. Like, do they split off from that lifestyle, or do they continue because the chemicals,
Yeah.
and what do we do as a society to help,
And of course,
fix some of that?
to my mind, everyone has a good heart, but man, it's like there's not enough resources to help everyone, right?
It's hard. Yeah. Right.
I mean, you have to help yourself. Of course, I hate to use the term bootstrap, because everyone does have boots. Everyone does have boots,
Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to put it.
they put it by bootstrap. Oh, motherfucker,
I don't have both.
these motherfuckers are fucking barefoot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, how do you like, you can't, it's like, man, it's like, but then again, when you think about like, there's been poor people since the beginning of time, right?
Right. Exactly.
There's
And
always the downtrodden, the poor, like,
and many people no matter where you are and financially, there's always problems,
oh yeah.
and it just depends
And it's perspective too, right?
resources and
Someone middle class will be rich to someone like nothing.
Mhm.
Middle class person is fucking poor to someone who's a fucking multimillionaire.
Exactly. Well, relative.
Multimillionaire is fucking poor to fucking Elon
Mhm.
Musk.
Right. And there's some people who do get rid of everything. They're minimalists, but they're probably the happiest they've ever been too. So you
Yeah.
just never know. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's like, what makes you happy, right? What makes you happy without fucking just doing someone else over,
Right. And you still be able to take care of yourself too. And that's
Yeah.
the most important part. And I think a lot of people, especially since the pandemic, have recognized I need to take care of myself.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Because I can't take care of me. I can't take care of anybody else.
I mean, that's one, of course, COVID was kind of bad. People died, all that kind of stuff. But like, it has some good things too, right? A lot of business did thrive during COVID.
Mhm.
A lot of people had the mentality, okay, this is like, I want to say like it's about me, but it's like it's about me, right? What am I doing to make myself happy and take care of my family versus
Right.
like doing this corporate bullshit, like fucking take care of everyone else.
Right. I remember I just read an article, I think yesterday, and it was about uh, how ever since the pandemic, people are really, truly outright saying, I'm taking a mental health day.
Yeah.
And that even, back in the day, if you had 100% no call off, even at school, you were really proud, right?
Yeah.
And now we're like, no, don't give it to anybody else. Just stay home. Like, it's okay to miss a day. You'll be fine.
Like NRG gets a lot of like criticism, but like, man, this mental health day is like my
Mhm.
group of the day, like, motherfucker, you better fuck suck that shit up.
Right. If you're not throwing up, you go to work
Yeah.
or you go to school.
Yeah. You're like school days, like a broken ankle, like you better hop your ass over there, right?
Yep.
You're depressed. Like, suppose like back in the day, if you had a job, it's like, hey, I need to take a day, I'm sick. I'm depressed. Oh, we don't really be depressed? You're fucking fired.
Yeah. You weren't recognized for any sanity. Yeah.
So I give them credit for that, right?
Mhm.
Now, of course, some of them fucking take it to extreme, right?
Of course.
Like, dude,
That's their option, I guess.
like, dude, you depressed every fucking Friday?
Then we should probably talk to a therapist.
Every Friday you
Find some
depressed?
help. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So you want to do another drink?
I say deep break before I take another drink.
Yeah.
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 Because I've already it's passing through me.
Okay. Yeah. No problem.
Thank you. I'll be back.
Okay. So Natasha's going to take a potty break, as they say.
Yep. Short way, right?
Yeah. So for those of you in the Seattle area, I'm pitching Kevin's HR tomorrow at New Tech, Northwest East Side. You go to my LinkedIn profile, there's like all the invites in there. So basically it's like a 10 minutes pitch of Kevin's HR, giving everyone an update on where we're at with Kevin's HR and trying to find investors. So hopefully y'all can come out to that. If for some reason Cameron is out, so we go check that out.
Sounds great. I'm still like,
So Natasha, back from the quickest potty break in the history of the world.
Oh, yes, I power washed. But yeah, I came back in and it smells amazing. It smells like a campfire in here now from all the smoking of the cocktails.
It does. It does.
I'll say, which one haven't we had yet?
We've done mezcal. I did the Frank August. You did the Woodinville.
See, there's some bourbons I'm not sure if I want to smoke. Well, let's try it. Well, we have it. Let's try it.
Yeah.
You want to be my guinea pig?
Yes. Of
All
course.
right. Yay. And drunken fruit is the best, so I'm going to leave that lemon peel in there. Let's soak it up. Okay, also, side question. What is this sword? Are you taking off corks off of large bottles of champagne?
No. So,
what's the story behind this?
So when I was in the Army, I was basically, so in the Army, it's called Brigade S1.
Okay.
But it's actually like an HR officer. So I was an HR officer for like an organization, like 8,000 people.
Wow.
I did a few years, and when I left, that's like the gift the brigade commander gave me.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's actually like an actual replica. It's actually a Roman sword. So I'll pull it out.
Okay.
So,
oh my gosh. Yeah. How much does this sheath weigh alone?
It's not light.
Wow. Yeah, it's a good like. Oh, I feel royal just holding this. Yeah.
So you can definitely fuck some people up with
it. I have my father and grandfather's cane collections.
And of course, my name is stuff engraved on this stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have their cane collection, and they have some of those old canes where the sword is still like in there. Yeah. And then another one has like a little vial where you can put like, your medication in.
I might have a cane, but I still fucking cut your ass up.
Yeah. I was like, kind of reminds me of it, but I mean, obviously, it's way better. Well, I'm so happy we got this motor working.
What a better way to spend a day.
I know, right? Yeah. Oh, my ice cubes are getting sad.
So did you ever tell us like your personal bourbon collection,
Oh, well, the thing, so like I don't buy a whole lot. A nice thing about being a mobile bartender, which is what my company is, yeah, like, so I don't always do just weddings. I still do like private parties and events. And everyone is really nice by not only tipping me in cash, but they tip me in bottles.
Oh shit. Nice.
So I have a decanter filled with some Blue Label.
Okay.
It's Johnny Walker Blue Label, which is people think like Johnny Walker. Okay, yeah, it's mainstream. It's good, but when it comes to bartenders, especially like more local stuff, seems to be a little more favorable. But for some reason, Johnny Walker's Blue just still speaks to me. I don't know what it is. So I do have that. I have a Hibiki. So pretty much anyone who's just kind of tipped me out with a bottle of nice booze has been appreciated. I did have $100 bottle of bourbon. I guess it was still called bourbon from Iceland. That was probably one of my favorite. I wish I could remember what the name of it was. If you've been to Iceland, it is like the main one there. I just can't think of the name right now. But that one, I finally finished the bottle after 4 years of have been there.
Yeah, bourbon's
solid.
Nothing. You you can drink a bottle of Bacardi like one day, one night. I mean, you really can't drink a bottle of bourbon one night.
No, and it's kind of blasphemy if you do. Or I mean, if you got the money, you got the money, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's not any different than a fine wine, right? It's aged. Someone's taking care of it like a little baby, and it's meant to be sipped. And it's kind of so like a running joke between a lot of bartenders is some people do get Grey Goose and Red Bull.
Yeah,
it's like, why are you getting the top shelf when you're mixing it with a soda?
Or like, why are you getting this $100 bottle of bourbon and put like a 35-cent Coke in it? Yeah.
Right. Or there are actually some bourbons or any liquor. If you were to say, hey, I want this with Coke, and some people be like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
We won't do it here.
Yeah.
Because we just don't even want that image of you tainting it with sugar water and bubbles.
This is not fucking Jack and Coke place.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just get the damn Jack. Like, cool. Jack's great with Coke, but it's whatever you're, yeah.
That's one thing I wish, I could go back in the day. Like, I learned about real bourbon too late in my life, right? I wasted too much time in my life drinking fucking bullshit bourbon with Coke, right? I learned like the real bourbon like too late in life.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. You know what? Because again, you do all the mainstream. You're gonna know the mainstream first. Like we call a lot of tissues Kleenex, right? Like it's all Kleenex.
Mhm.
So once you do find that small brand that's really solid, then you're like, now I know why this is their baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I get it. My mind's opened up now.
Like I went to the Jack Daniel's distillery for the tour. Cheers. And they have a green label. You can only get the green label there. And technically you can only buy the green label by the small cask for like $300, whatever it was, or $3,000. It was something crazy, but you could still get a 3-ounce mini bottle. I want to say it was there, whatever the legal amount they're allowed to only sell because of Dry County. You have to go farther out to get the actual samples, but they're allowed to do a certain amount of airplane bottles, basically a little larger. And the green label was something I've never tasted. And to this day, I can still barely remember it. And I'm sad because I want to go get it again. And the only way to do it is to go to the distillery or again, just buy the giant. I don't have $3,000.
Have you done, I think it's called the bourbon tour in Kentucky?
Bourbon Trail. I have not.
Yeah.
That is something I would like to do. Also being a bartender, you get to talk to a lot of companies that come in and a lot of ambassadors. And one nice thing is Maker's Mark actually will give you a form where you can have a plaque of your name or whatever you want engraved on that. And that barrel is kind of like yours in a sense. Shit. And so I have that.
Okay.
And I'm kind of waiting for a special moment or a special time to do it. And when I do get to do that, that's when I want to do the bourbon tour and find my barrel with my plaque on it.
Okay.
I just don't know what I want to put on it yet.
Yeah.
It'll hit me when it's time.
All right. So back to your business.
Yeah.
Why did you start your business? And first, what's the name of your business?
PNW Bar Events.
Does that name mean anything or any significance, or is it a random name?
I mean, Pacific Northwest is PNW. So I'm within that area. So I want to make sure people knew that, but I still do travel if someone pays for it. I have done it. I've gone to Florida, I've gone to Texas for private events. I actually do a lot of yacht work as well. I do bartend and cook on yachts. I'm officially a yachty. Have you ever done the below deck thing? Like, kind of real. They're amazing people, but you have to be on point all the time.
So why did you start it?
So when I moved to Seattle, so my nightclub closed in Chicago.
What year did you move here?
2016, 17-ish.
And why Seattle, all the places you go to?
So I was also working the trade shows. And when I came here, I just fell in love every time. And I felt...
You must have came this summer and not in June.
Yes. I actually also wanted time of the fall. I still had some cold jackets. But again, I love that there's like barely any snow here compared to Chicago. My nightclub had closed completely. So that's when I was out of that job, right? And I was kind of like just couch surfing basically. And I did meet a gentleman who was my vessel here. We did date. We were boyfriend, girlfriend for a year or two and still my friend to this day. And so between that, the weather just being more mild in the winter, and then it kind of felt like half of a Europe where again, I can just go alone as a woman, go around to the bars, talk to people.
Yeah, you're right. Like Seattle is like almost exactly like Germany.
Yeah.
As far as weather and that kind of stuff, it's almost, another time people don't realize like, Seattle is actually higher up than Boston.
Right.
Which when I found out, it blew my fucking mind.
I think we're on the same as maybe London.
Yeah. We're way in the, I mean, they call us South Alaska for a reason.
Right. And you have the thing called the Seattle freeze where there are some
that's a real thing.
People who, it took me a while to like, oh yeah, because I'm a social person.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
And some people don't want to socialize, which is cool. But then again, if you're at a bar, most of the time those people go out to see other people.
One example I heard of that, right, is like, this is a newspaper article where they talk about Seattle freeze. So I first moved here. Supposedly, like, this family moved to Seattle, right? They joined a church. and the church said, "Hey, we need volunteers to help like pick trash up or whatever." And so the volunteer picked trash up. No one talked to him, right?
Wow.
Yeah, no one talked to him, right? They're like, "Man, this is some fucking bullshit here."
Yeah. Yeah. You finally start realizing it. And it's actually really funny as a bartender because you do people watch, right? Especially when it's slow and you get some of those tables of like 4 people and they're all on their phone, not talking to each other. And then you're wondering, are they talking to each other? Maybe they are talking to each other. I don't know.
Why are they even here?
Right. Exactly. And I'm sure they have good times, but there's apparently like a timeout time on the phone where everyone's just doing it. I'm like, okay.
It's
yeah. We're all getting older too. So like, I remember I got my first cell phone. And I was one of the first people to do it just because I was lucky and I worked in tech when I was in high school. And I had that little Nokia phone you could throw against the wall, do nothing with, but you still like had to talk to people. And
you had a cell phone. Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing because apparently a lot of these kids still talk to people when they're on the video games or whatever, but it's just, I'm someone that has to read facial expressions.
And my thing with the phone, we have so much information, right?
Right.
I mean,
not remembering half of it too.
Yeah. All the information we have in this phone, insane.
When it's social time again, that's why I love that bar, the Black Horse, because no phones. You need to be social.
Go back to your business.
Yeah,
you started it in like 2019, 2020.
Yeah, so I didn't make an official registration or mine. It was just my own DBA.
So you were illegal for a little bit.
I was just a 1099 contractor. I still paid my taxes, but I didn't have a name or registered. Yeah. So, and again, that's because when I moved here, I couldn't find a job, and I always like a little home job while I'm doing the trade shows. And my trade show still was my full time. So I'm like, okay, and I just went out and did my thing. And if something would arise, it did. And so then I started off on Craigslist, looking to see if anyone needed a bartender, and then I just kind of
it's still like to me it's still insane that people find jobs on Craigslist.
I know
it's like it just boggles my mind to this day. I know people do it and find jobs. This is boggles my mind. I think Craigslist, I think shady shit.
I know.
It just boggles my mind. People, it's like it just boggles my mind. People find jobs.
Something about the jobs section still works.
Yeah, it works. Yeah,
it's still the classified too.
It fucking works, right?
It's the newspaper that's on the internet that we would go back in the day and look for jobs.
And Craigslist like it looks horrible. The user experience horrible, but it fucking works some kind of way. Like it's never been upgraded. No like new tech, no new design.
Nothing changed. Nothing changed. It's old reliable if anything.
But it fucking works, right? It's fucking insane. You think of Craigslist, you think about like I don't know, sketchy stuff. Sketchy stuff. Like random like criminal shit. But like
you sell something, someone's gonna steal it.
But it works some kind of way.
And again, my favorite part is the odd jobs gigs area. And you still can find some like other trade show stuff or other weird random jobs that you're never going to be bored with because it's just tiny little thing. Yeah. So that's why I think where I started off, and it just snowballed. It really did. Just word of mouth.
So you came to Seattle, you decided to start the bar. Like talk about some of the challenges of starting it.
God, just red tape. And unfortunately,
I can't imagine the red tape of starting a bar.
And I don't have a brick and mortar. When I say I'm working at the bar, it's like the other bar that I'm just kind of helping out at. It's
different locations, like
right
and stuff. Yeah.
So I'm bringing the bar table.
You're kind of like a remote bartender. So
I am. Yeah. I literally mobile bartending. Right. And so
cheers, my friend.
Cheers. Woo.
Best day ever drinking.
Aww.
On the podcast.
Thanks. I'm having a great time. Paperwork's the hardest. Again, coming from Chicago, the laws here are a little harder and stricter.
I'm gonna give me a bottle of water while you're talking. Okay?
Yeah, please. It needs a little updating. We'll say that. I understand some of them. Some of them are just like, again, I know there's some states where, hey, if you appear to be 40 or up higher, you don't have to ask for an ID. And it's still kind of an unclear line here technically, but when you get your license, you still have to ask everybody. But kind of going again with the international people, they're freaking 80 years old. Like I feel bad asking. I feel awful. Like even though some people are like, oh yeah, I've never been asked. Like, thank you. And like,
I've been drinking since I was 14 years old.
Exactly. And especially as a European too, like there's no drinking age or it's 19, 18,
Yeah, like
16.
I know in Germany the rule is like if you can see over the bar, you can order a drink. Don't care how old you are.
Right. And then like, you know, how many people have had their parents when you were a kid, like, hey, do you want to try this?
Yeah.
I remember that's actually why I didn't drink for a while. I didn't start drinking until I was 23, which is funny to think that I went into bartending when I hated alcohol. Hated it. And my parents gave me Rolling Rock.
Oh my God.
Blah.
They did it. They did it.
I think they did.
They did it on purpose.
But that's what they drank.
They did it on purpose.
And then my entire family drinks beef eaters on the rocks with vegetables. My entire family, besides myself and one other family member, and that's it. And so to this day, just smelling it, I can't do it. Yeah. Even though I love gin, I actually really do love gin, but I can't particularly do beef eater just because it would be on their breath as a kid, right? And so I was just associated with it. Yeah. They would have me try it, and I was like, no, it burns, it burns. And so, you know, my parents were cool and let me try it. But we have a joke. We have something called Nat water. So short for Natasha, Natalie, Natalia is Nat, or for Nathan as well, right? So I go by Nat sometimes. I was 15. My parents took a trip to California. We would go to the Pismo Beach, as I was saying before, and we would take the Amtrak. And they didn't want to pay for booze, so they put, actually, thankfully, it was vodka in a bottle. I don't know how. They never drank vodka, which was really odd. So they had vodka in a water bottle. I did not know about this. We get there. I go swimming and having a great time. I come back to the hotel room. I am thirsty. So I take this bottle of water. Glug, 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 glug. Oh my God, my throat is on fire. I start pouring it down the drain. I start yelling at my parents, this water's bad. And they're like, stop pouring it down the drain. I'm like, no, it's not. And they're like, no, that's vodka. And it costs money. Stop pouring it down the drain.
I have a story just like that, right?
Oh, yes.
So we say some photo, right? And we have friends come all the time, right? And I had like 3 or 4 of my friends there, right? And we're drinking like a vodka orange juice, right? Like the tall glasses, you know, kind of strong, right? And so my daughter, Ashley, I think she was 8 or 9 at the time, right? Back in the day, kids played outside, right? So we went outside. She ran aside, and I had no time to react. She's like, I'm so thirsty. Can I have your drink, Dad? And drunk half of it. And like, feel like if she could cut, she would have said, what the fuck is that?
Was orange juice went sour.
Yeah. But I should have drunk it like, glunk. Of course, it was cold, so it probably tasted
right.
good.
And at least it was juice.
And then it was like, what is this? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And mine was pure booze. I feel for her. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. But yeah. And so now we call vodka Nat water now.
Okay.
Yeah. To this day.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for your business, like you started your business pre-COVID. So we talk about the challenges. How do you do the how do you convince people to use you, so to speak?
You know, experience is huge. You can get a bartender technically anywhere in a sense. Like everyone wants to be one. And it's kind of like between cook and chef. There's really no particular
cook at Denny's
system.
A chef at a 5-star restaurant.
But there's like no degree or technically you don't have to go to school to be a chef. Like as long as you're the top cook, you are the chef, right? And if you're the only cook, technically you are the chef. But everyone can say a different. I might have people yelling right now, like stop! Like what are you talking about? And when I cook on the yachts, people call me chef, and I'm like I'm good, but I didn't go to school. I don't know how to make sushi. I mean I know how to make sushi. I'm not good at making the sushi. So like there's certain things that I almost feel dirty saying chef in a sense. And that's kind of like between bartender and you hear this word mixologist float around, which is kind of sometimes poo-pooed on. So to go back around, not only are you going to get someone that's going to make a good drink, because I do have employees too. So it's not just always me. And I do help them with the cocktail creation, but whoever is there needs to have that social experience. If you don't smile, forget it. Yeah. Smiling is like number one.
Yeah, I can never work for you. I never smile. Yeah, you would fire me. Smile, Jason. Yeah. I'm trying. I'm trying my best.
Smiling here.
I'm trying my best.
But okay, one nice thing about especially most of the drinks, or excuse me, most of the events I do is it's open bar. So who's cranky with an open bar with free drinks? If you're cranky, you have a whole nother thing going on. You probably just need to leave the party at this point.
You got some challenges.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've seen a couple of them. You're like, how did you even get invited? But yeah, the experience is number one. Speed is number two. With quality. So speed and quality are kind of like connected, right? So you need to make sure everyone's not waiting a million years for a drink. And that is how you also get cranky people, is when they're waiting. And I don't mind. I don't like waiting in Disneyland lines for 2 hours either. So you're trying to get that good combination where you can get speed and quality, and then presentation. So some people might not be able to present their
there's
right?
some kind of flair, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a garnish is really an amazing wrapping paper in a sense. And again, you eat with your eyes. So the first thing you're going to look, right? And you're like, oh, it looks delicious.
Presentation matters, right?
Exactly. And then you taste it, and then how does it feel later? And you try to find a signature drink that also matches with whatever's going on in the environment. So what's really cool is, like, a lot of weddings I work at, they have their animals kind of involved. And so what they do is they actually, usually there's like 2 animals, no joke. It's crazy how it works out this way. Probably 25% of my weddings name their drinks after their fur babies. And so let's say they have 3 dogs, they have 3 cocktails, and it's named after their dogs. And we just find what the bride and groom like, and we put this all together. And I actually have an edible topper with their pictures on. Oh, so whatever the dog, let's say Theodore the dog is now on here, and you can eat this edible wafer paper, like a church wafer is how I explain it. There's no taste, but you can eat it. And it has their date, and it's those personal touches that you're not going to find anywhere else.
So how do you handle this, right? Suppose you're doing an event somewhere where the event is, right? Mm-hmm. And you you have like 5, 6 people in line, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the first person in front of you, they're like fucking needy as fuck, right? That's all these questions. Were you doing this? Can I do this, right? Mm-hmm. Like, how do you handle that?
Kind of as swiftly as possible, but kind of where we're going with, we don't ask. If someone says vodka soda, and I'm not going to ask, do you want the well? Do you want this? Right? So we're kind of going towards finding the quickest path to what someone wants. So if they are asking a bunch of questions, if there's a certain point, I'll be like, well, here, why don't you try this one? If you don't like it, come back. And again, it's an open bar too. So if you really don't like it, don't feel bad. You're not paying for it. It's paid. A little bit goes, it goes, right? People leave their drinks on the tables all the time, and the ice melts, So that's probably the best way to do it, because usually if they're asking questions, they just don't know what they want. And again, it comes down to my favorite saying is wrangling cats. Being a bartender with drunk adults is literally like wrangling cats, and you're trying to get them to do things, and it's a little bit like daycare, and you're the only sober one in the room pretty much, right? And it's very interesting to see some people evolve to a more inebriated state. But again, it's also our job to keep people from getting drunk. So that's another hard part too. You get some of those hard drinkers, it's a free bar, right? Let's go. And then you're like, hey, Uncle Mark,
give me the fucking bottle of tequila.
Yeah, here's a glass of water. Come back and see me later. But we don't want anything crazy happening at a wedding. So you're also controlling any situations, because the last thing you want is one drunk person to ruin a wedding reception, right? So you have to wear 5 hats.
How you deal with it with someone? It's like, is a bar where it says, hey, have a shot with me.
That's hard. I know.
I'll pay for the shot, have a shot with me.
Really, the best thing is put it in the tip. I usually tell them, like, just put it in the tip.
No, I want you to have a shot with me.
I know.
I like you. I like your personality.
I'll do water shots. I do. I still will do something.
Oh shit. That's a no-go story, right? Yeah. I actually said this last podcast, right? So you're like this, right?
Okay.
And admittedly, this is kind of fucked up what I did. So when I was stationed in Italy, I was coming commander, right? Had like people working for me. And it's Vincenzo, Italy, there's a place called the Crazy Bull. Every Thursday night it has salsa night. And so everyone went there, right? All America at the time, it's like a lot of people right there. So I went there with a friend one time, right? I go there, go to the bar, get a drink. Like maybe 10 of my soldiers were there, right? You could tell that I've been drinking, right? Sir, have some shots with us, right? And the one guy said, hey, sir, I bet we can drink so many shots you'll cancel PT tomorrow, right?
Oh, no.
And so I'll take you on, right? No problem, right? And so that have been drinking. Before we left, we drank like at least 10, 15 shots of tequila, right? But what they did not know is that me, my wife, my 3 kids would go there for lunch every Sunday. We knew the owner and the bartenders.
Yes.
So on the sly, I told the bartender, after shot 2, from now on, give me water.
Yeah.
And so the next day, they're like, and they told, I had like 50 people working for me. They told every company, let's know we're doing fucking PT. We just did 15 shots of tequila with the captain. There's no fucking way, right?
Yeah.
The next day, I ran them fuckers to death.
And they're like, you can drink like a boss.
Yeah.
Right?
They're fucking throwing up and shit. Like, what the fuck's going on? And then like I told the story, like some people like 5, 10 years later, like,
yeah,
you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. And so I'll get a lot of pregnant women. They're like, hey, because usually most pregnant women don't announce it until about 3 months in. So she's like, hey, they're doing shots. I'm pregnant. Whatever they order for me, can you please make me, nothing, alcoholic, because I haven't announced it yet. And I'm like, I got you, girl. Don't worry. Yeah. So I do a lot of those. And I don't know if you've heard of the angel shot before.
I think I have.
So if a woman feels like they're being stalked or they feel unsafe, the angel shot is supposed to be, hey, get me the heck out of the situation. I thankfully I've never gotten one of those.
Yeah. But
I feel I've gotten it where the girls are like, hey, I just don't want to get too drunk because I don't know where I'm at with this date.
Yeah.
I still don't know this person. I'm comfortable. I'm having a good time, but I just don't know where I'm at yet.
Yeah.
Hey, after 4 drinks. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like, can you just give me something else? Just so I still can have a fun time. Yeah. And then when I let you know, like maybe I'll have another one, a real one in like an hour.
Yeah.
But, those women have just been very conscious about how the night's going.
It's a shame.
I know. And unfortunately, I don't know many people who haven't had a nightmare. I could talk about that. It's a whole nother story. But, weirdos exist and they really do. And even guys, I have guys that have weird, awful stories as well. It's just,
so for your business, what clicked with you? You said, like, you know what? I have something here. I might be successful doing this. What was that moment where you say, you know what? This is going to pay off for me. I can make a living doing this.
I hate to say it. The one thing that did kind of help was because there was just such a high demand to the point where people had to keep moving their weddings. So just the demand itself, I was like, oh my gosh, I can do all these. I do have a little bit of that FOMO, fear of missing out sometimes on money. And I want to take every job I can. It's just because I do love my job. It's not work, if you know what I mean. And I know that the business still is pretty male dominated. And a lot of it also is so high end that some of these other people can't afford it, don't want that kind of event. And we kind of give this more middle tone where you still feel like family. You don't feel like you're out of place financially in any sense. So sometimes you do get these really fancy weddings, right? You got, I haven't been to one, but I've heard of like ones where the horse freaking comes in, or there actually are some amazing Indian weddings I've worked where they've actually an elephant and they paint them. They're beautiful. They're amazing. And they get circus, like performers and stuff, and they get these big extravagant weddings. And if you're from the Indian culture, like that's actually pretty normal. To just have these extravagant, amazing, beautiful weddings. But if you're an outsider, you don't always feel comfortable because you're like, oh my gosh, like, because all that money is floating up there, sometimes people can feel a little uncomfortable, thinking that they're not in that strata of money. And so like our goal is to make everyone inclusive, no matter who you are, to come in and participate and feel like family. And by the end of the night, everybody's family. Everybody knows each other. They're all blood. It's such a great time. But it's that first like hour where everyone's they don't have it out of their drink yet. They haven't let it loose. And they're just, they absorb everything. And so I try to make that accessible to everybody without feeling like there's some glass ceiling in that sense.
What's been like the most weirdest, outlandish, or the most crazy event you've bartended at?
Good or bad? I knew I won't talk about the nightmare one. I don't. Well,
just remember, no one's going to see this, right? So
I know. Okay, we'll give a bad one. We'll start with the bad and end with the good. Bad one. I personally did not work, but one of my coworkers did, and it was at a venue that we normally were at. I know the venue owner, and she's a fantastic person. It's a tiny place, and unfortunately, apparently half the bridal party was part of the Proud Boys, and we didn't know it. And they all came in with their colors, and the mom was late to the wedding. The mom was late to the wedding, and a few people walked in. They're like, "Oh, I did not expect this to happen. I'm going to just leave." People actually came because the bar was the first thing they saw when they walked in. And so people just left. And then what happened? Children, we're going to say around 10 years of age, started having fist fights. This is a learned behavior. They all like, "Oh, who are you? I don't know you." And they had fist fights. Blood was like skin was breaking, and they had to kick out the entire wedding early because she's like, absolutely not. She had no idea. And
some people call that a good time.
Maybe. I don't know about 10-year-olds though. Maybe adults. Adults can do their thing. But yeah, these kids apparently were the last straw. And yeah, the whole party had to be canceled because it was just a freaking disaster. Good side. And I say that the most craziest one I would say, I was at a Indian wedding. And yeah, they had, it was beautiful. They had a painted elephant. You could literally get on the elephant. So in India, this happens often. I mean, you can rent. I'm not sure if rent is the right word, but there's these castles, but there's these public areas that are part of royalty that you can have your weddings at. And again, just having the animals in, I think, is number one. And then their wedding. So they have drinks the pre-day and the day of. There's like 3 days of drinking. So you really get to know everyone. And so the first day you start to get everybody like, okay, I know your name, but then you start remembering their drinks on the second day and then the actual wedding day. And it's 3 days of just partying and just feeling like, again, everybody's finally a part of that family by that last day of the wedding.
So if you're my Indian friends, I expect a wedding invitation.
Yes.
I want to experience this.
Yeah. That's amazing. They're like the most beautiful weddings, and just everyone's involved and everyone's dances and dresses up. I just can't explain. If you've never been to an Indian wedding, it's something to experience if you can. Yeah. There's just something about that culture that's, beautiful isn't even the word. It's so enriching in a sense. And they just got to figure it out. But for celebrating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So you started, like you said, 2018, 2019?
Yeah.
So what's something like when you first started, you're like, man, this, whatever it is, kicking my ass, right? I can't figure this shit out. But now you're thinking back like, how in the fuck was this a challenge to me? This is so simple.
Well, again, the hardest part here was I got the denial because I was a woman trying to be a bartender here. And which was funny because Chicago was kind of opposite. If you were a girl, like you automatically got work. And if you're a guy, you got screwed. And here it was kind of the opposite. If you were a guy.
That's kind of odd with Seattle being so liberal and stuff, you know?
Right. I think it comes down to they just kind of ended up dominating the cocktail industry. Maybe they're just, I don't know what women were doing here 50 years ago in Seattle. Maybe just different job placements.
We know what they're doing back in the day. We know what they're doing.
What Aurora Avenue did.
Yeah. The industry that built Seattle.
Right. And so, and a lot of famous cocktails have come from Seattle or at least reestablished. The Negroni, really Italy, but I know Seattle was like one of the other, between Seattle and New York, those two cities just really inspire half the world with either bringing back old cocktails or coming up with new cocktails. The Sharpie mustache, you need to look it up. I honestly don't even remember what's in it, but it's like a triple old fashioned with a bunch of other booze. And it was made by a Seattle bartender. And his joke was someone wanted something really strong to where you pass out, where people draw a Sharpie mustache on you. And that's how the drink came about. And it's actually a really delicious drink. You only should have one or two. And I guess the whole mixologist thing, again, between New York and Seattle, I mean, Chicago was a good part of it too, but I feel they were kind of in their own little bubble, especially with speakeasies. But between New York and Seattle, I feel they compete. They try to one up each other, and I guess it's more was, or at least was, more of a male dominated area in that. And I just, either the girls were more silent, or maybe they weren't in that kind of cocktail area. Maybe they're more at the dive bars. Again, I'd never lived here all my life, so I'm not sure. That'd be great to talk to someone who does.
Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur because it's sexy, you're book your own boss. But talk about the unsexy part of being an entrepreneur.
Oh my goodness. I guess one of the hardest parts is people try to get free, free advice from you. I'll have people who are like, hey, before I even give you my deposit, I want the menu, I want the shopping list, I want all this. And I'm like, no, this costs money and time. I mean, my time is money, right? And not only am I creating a great cocktail for you, but now I have to do the math. You say you have 100 guests, you have 75 guests, and sometimes you don't even know what the actual guest count is, finalized until a few weeks prior. So you have to find this sweet spot of not running out, but not having too much. And I give my clients the option of shopping, or they can purchase it through me. Also, because of Seattle laws, I can't actually be like a real bar. I can't charge per drink or anything. I have to do it by cost when you have these permits. So they're trying to get their shopping list and their menu for free without hiring me. And that one's probably the hardest, because I understand you kind of want to be impressed by the menu. But if you go on my Instagram, you go on my website, you can kind of get an idea of where we're at. So that's probably the hardest one. I'm like, sorry to say no. I don't want to say no, but I have to like work around a nice way and be like, hey, sorry, like this is something we're going to do later when you have my company. Otherwise, you're just going to take my recipes, which are mine, and my math and my time, which take a good hour or two. And you might end up getting some other person who might be not as experienced, and then they're just not going to have a good time anyway.
So how do you use social media to enhance your company?
I'm mainly on Instagram.
Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram is a big one because photos, and, garnishes especially do help. And then you kind of say what's in there. It really is the best way because they're so pretty. Yeah, again, when you go to weddings, especially, or my New Year's, anything, because it's a special event, it's going to be unique.
So what are you doing for New Year's?
I do actually work for my one client. Every year he has a fantastic New Year's party. Oh my goodness. Actually, that's where we serve the Sharpie mustache, and so a few other cocktails, and they just have a blast at their house. It's probably almost 100 people. It's a giant home.
So how does someone get an invite to?
Maybe I'll hire you as my bar back.
Yeah, I need to hire me. Yeah.
All you gotta do is clean up some dishes.
Go with that.
He has the Moet just handing around. Oh my gosh, he probably gets, I'm not even kidding, like 50 bottles of champagne, and we don't even touch that. He likes to pop those.
Yeah.
And we're just making cocktails.
How long have you been doing that for him?
3 years.
3 years.
And a very special backyard tent, which comes with Snoop Dogg cutout, smoking jackets, and special other things that Seattle allows. So most of those people sleep over for the night.
Yeah, yes. you gotta love Seattle.
Yeah, but it's really cute. He has his own. Oh, and sorry, Towley from South Park is also another cardboard cutout there. Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Another plus.
What's your advice to someone who either wants to be an entrepreneur or start their own bartending business?
Perseverance. Oh my gosh. I was very lucky as a kid. My late mother really encouraged me to do my own stuff. The creativity really helps because you're always constantly thinking of new things or ways to impress people. But she actually gave me $250 to start my own business when I was 14. It was when eBay was around. And I sold cell phone covers for those Nokia phones with the snap-ons where you could like customize your colors. I bought a whole load of like from China or something off. I don't even know what website, but it was a mass product, right? sold them on eBay, made a profit. After the 250 was done, I got to keep whatever I wanted. So she was the first one to start that for me. And I have had so many little businesses along the way that never stuck. I made custom clocks in college.
Isn't it crazy? Like most entrepreneurs start like at an early age, right?
Yeah.
Like I know no one who like, I'm 41 years old, be an entrepreneur, right? It's like somewhere back in the day, either it was cutting grass or selling stuff.
Yeah. Lemonade stands. I love lemonade stands as a kid. And actually, I was pissed as a kid when I found out you couldn't actually work as a kid. I wanted to work really bad. And I remember my mom was like, no, you have to be 16 to work or 15 with a permit. And I'm like, I'm 12 years old. I'm like, well, I want to work. And like, well, you can cut grass. Yeah, you can do some of this. And so she would have garage sales and I was in charge of the garage sales. Yeah, I had a little custom clock making business. So if you're a company and you wanted like 150 clocks to have your business logo on to give away, like I literally made everyone. Um, I built computers when Dell was barely a thing. Dell actually put me out of business in that. That was during high school. I was building computers together. I had a boutique in Chicago as well. So yeah, I could just kind of have these little side things going, but they never really stuck. I either lost disinterest in it or unfortunately, sometimes the taxes just put you down financially. You're just not encouraged by it. So finally, this was the winner. This is the one I was training for all my life. And I didn't have a whole lot to go by. I know a lot of other people started businesses, have talked to other business owners and got a, kind of got their education off of it. And finally, one nice thing is I have connected with a bunch of women business owners that own bars. And that has, I think, really fully solidified where, okay, this is where I'm running. This is, now I know where I want to be. I'm sticking with this one. It's my baby. And again, my other goal is to actually have a bar, brick and mortar bar as well. And they're the ones that have inspired me and kind of taught me, especially like politics or red tape or forms, anything else that I just was never really educated on. I just want to make sure everything's, cut and dry. So if asking questions, I think is the best. I never ask questions where I'm like, oh, I can do this. And now I ask for advice. It's humbling and it's still new in a sense, because no matter what, you're still learning. So I think, I guess if you want to start a business or a bar, you need to just ask questions and find that community where I didn't think I had time before to do it. But if you get even little specks of it, I think it helps about who you know to like help you pave that path.
Yeah, that's one thing I suck at. I suck at follow up and asking for help.
I'm horrible at follow-ups. Yeah.
I fucking suck at that. So I know you want to open this brick and mortar thing, right?
Mhm.
But how could you make more money doing what you're doing now with the brick and mortar? Because brick and mortar, it's like you got to pay for the lease, all the expensive electricity, where now you're like, it's like remote, right? So why do remote? I mean, why do the brick and mortar when it's like be more expensive?
So I want both. So what's actually really nice is when you have that brick and mortar, there's other licenses you can have where I can cater out off of that, piggyback catering off of my own business. So not only can I do that side, but now I can double my capacity, right? So not only do I have a place that people come to me, but now I also have like existing business where I come to them. And so if I can be open every day, those people are always coming in. Events don't happen on Mondays or Tuesdays, right? Especially the locations I'm looking at, there's going to be sports events. There's going to be concerts.
You say you're going to do a bar here in Pioneer Square?
Yeah. I mean, so I did put a bid in Capitol Hill, which is also a very busy spot.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. And I was kind of looking at Tacoma even just a little bit, but I think where I want to be is definitely downtown, especially with all the cruise ships, right? So you have all these people coming from around the world.
That's a good point.
Right. And then that's the other cool thing. If I'm behind the bar of my own brick and mortar, I get to meet all these people. I do love stories. I think that's might be something I'm attracted to with this particular career. Like you get all these people, all these stories. And then it's really nice when people come back. When you have a regular that you can converse with and care about, and you have maybe not necessarily a friendship, but you have this trust connection between them, and you care about them. So one example, even just at the bar I'm working at now, there's another bar that one of my regulars goes to. Neither of us had seen him in a while. So that bar actually called my bar. I answered the phone, like, hey, have you seen this? Have you seen, this guy? And I'm like, you're right. I haven't seen him in a while. Yeah, you're right. I'll let you know if I see him. They must have manifested it. He shows up the next day. I'm like, hey, so this bar was looking for you. I mean, everything okay? He's like, oh yeah, I've just kind of been doing my thing. Cool. Well, just so you know, they're like worried about you. So there's a community. And again, that whole Mayberry effect in a sense, like everyone knows each other when you're regulars in a small section of town. And I think socially, maybe it's because I come from a small family that is like an extension of my family, and I care about those people, and they care about me. And it's good reciprocation.
Do you have any, like, I guess the best word, like any bartending mentors?
I wouldn't say anyone specifically, but because there are these little groups within either like Facebook, or once you get these Facebook groups, you all meet in person. Like everyone in the bartending industry, we have little parties. There's actually a thing called Cocktail Week, or Carnival of Cocktails and Tales of Cocktails. That's not in Seattle. That's in New Orleans. But there are these little, not, I can't really call it a cocktail convention, but these gatherings where you see all of everyone. And so you can exchange notes, exchange drinks. Even brand ambassadors of companies come in, so they educate you on their products. And so within all of this melting pot, you're never bored. You learn new things. And so if you do need a support of someone, you can call another bar and be like, hey, I need a bartender. Do you have anyone that you can send over? Or, hey, I'm having a really challenging time making this cocktail. What have you guys done? So community within the bartending industry is huge, and also bad as well. So like if there's any rumor, they go around too. But if you need to ask something, everyone's willing to give out.
Can someone be like your bartending apprentice, so to speak?
Yeah, we call it a stage.
Stage?
So if you have a stage, it's like what do you call it when you get out of college and you kind of work for free for a moment?
Intern?
Yes, it's literally a bartending intern.
Okay.
Yeah, and you most places, if you're at a good place, you still get to keep your tips, but you don't get an hourly until maybe after a week or a certain amount of time. So if you want to stage somewhere, that's like your trial time to take that risk, because there is a large turnover. Unfortunately, a lot of people do drink on the job. So those people are kind of weeded out pretty fast.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. And then there's also the new people, or sometimes their personalities just don't match. And so new hires can be very risky.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of paperwork. So instead of doing the paperwork, everyone just does a stage, and then they figure it out from there, whether you get hired or not. Yeah.
Yeah. So back to your business. So you're just like, how far you travel to do your bartending stuff?
I mean, if they pay for the travel, I will go anywhere.
Okay.
Again,
what's the farthest you travel?
Florida. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Someone pay for your travel?
Yes.
Like they pay for the plane trip, all the. Now, did you like take the booth with you, or you got the booth there?
They do have the booth. So that usually that's a situation where they have to shop for the booth, but I give them the shopping list and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, I just show up.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah. I got to bartend for a concert on the beach in Fort Lauderdale and they just need a couple bartenders for this concert. And you
have to think, like, you must have a high reputation, like someone from Seattle versus all the bartenders in Florida. Like,
I don't know how some of these people find me sometimes, and I'll ask, but I never get answers.
I mean, you have to like, it has to boost your ego.
a little bit.
It has to boost your ego a little bit.
I mean, I do really like talking to people, and I'm always smiling. Like
that's the key.
When I'm working, I don't pout or yeah. A lot of people are like, I like your smile. That's usually the compliment I get. Yeah. And I don't want that to like inflate my brain or anything, but I am genuinely enjoying my job. And as long as, again, usually they're open bars too, so people I'm talking to are happy as well. I can't have some miserable days at the regular bars.
Yeah.
But everyone's happy. So I'm happy. There's just, and then I'm having fun. And again, I'm not bored. Yeah. Definitely not bored.
How do you deal with this? Like, for lack of a better term, how do you deal with a creeper like, trying to hit on you? Like, hey, you're so sexy. I love your smile. Here's my number. You have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera.
And if you say yes, they're like, well, he's not here.
Yeah. How you deal with that?
Oh my God. You see the headache I have right now?
Yeah.
It is really hard. I find myself being too nice sometimes. Thankfully, when it is busy, it's a lot easier. And you're just like, hey, I'm busy. Sorry, I'm taken. I got to work. And it's a little easier to just kind of brush them off. But because they're also a client, technically, right? Like they're a guest of, let's say, whatever wedding or event I'm at. You still have to be respectful and do it nicely, but give it to the point. I mean, I guess there's a certain point like, hey, I got to go. Yeah. Right. Thankfully, I haven't had any weird stalking incidences or anything.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah, I know. I do hear some awful stories. And the bar, thankfully, I haven't. And in Chicago, oh my gosh, I was, again, working nightclubs. The clubs close at 4 or 5 in the morning, depending on what day it is. So you leave at 6:30 in the morning at the earliest.
In your Seattle, change your shit.
Yeah.
Change your shit. Clubs close in the morning, some fucking bullshit.
It was so hard to get used to when I got here because people start drinking earlier.
Yeah.
Most people go home in Chicago and go out at 10.
Yeah.
They start at 10 p.m. and they go till 4 or 5 if it's Friday or Saturday. And so that was something to get used to. But I still felt safe. I was pretty good there. But yeah, I'm still in my little club dress and my little heels and stuff. But
looking sexy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was also in my prime in my like 30s, right? Like, so you just gotta let them off nicely because if you piss them off, they will make it worse. Yeah.
So this is on TikTok one time. To me, this is so funny, right? And of course, it's staged, right? I'm sure it's staged, right?
I hope.
And, yeah. So it was like a Hooters bar, right? And this guy asked this girl, hey, you want to go on a date? And the girl said, well, I can't have a boyfriend. And the guy said, well, I have a math test. What do you mean? I thought we were talking about stuff we can both cheat on.
Again, I've gotten well, he's not here. I mean, I guess that's not any different. And it's a challenge. And if they hear no, they try to find another way to get a yes and try to find another route to get a yes. And they just keep doing it. And it's just like, just get the point.
I mean, a way, like you got to expect a hustle, right? I mean.
Yeah.
But then again.
Also no means no. Yeah. It's kind of like the third rule. If I've said no 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times.
Just go.
3 times. Yeah, 3 times. I think that's a good rule. 3.
Yeah.
You're no 3 times. Dude.
Yeah. Okay. You really should respect the first one. But okay, if you also like those people usually don't get to know you. They just go straight up to you and like, hi, I want to go out with you.
You're so beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah, my beauty is one thing. Maybe you haven't even gotten to know my brain. Oh, hello. The AI is taking over. Yeah.
So you gotta talk about your business some, but go over again how you started your business or why you started your business.
Yeah, again, it basically was I couldn't find work as a woman in Seattle as a bartender. It was just really hard. And I went around and just kept getting these no's. And I'm like, screw it. I'm doing it myself. I don't want to say it's to prove it to anybody, but I was just sick of hearing no. And I know I could do it, but I wasn't sure how to start it. And thankfully I did find like the Craigslist weddings. And then I kind of figured it out, molded it from there. And one nice part is because I'm someone that I can't have a mundane everyday job. Like I worked in an office for 2.5 days of my life. 2.5 days. I have been standing on my feet, getting my steps in since day one, except for those 2.5 days. I wore suits. I couldn't do it. I need to be social and I need to be up and moving all the time. It's just me. It's my personality. And I think that is a lot of the bartender personalities, which is why, again, we're a community. We're very similar in that sense. A lot of us are either like hyperactive or ADHD'd or just have had that life-changing experience where you just can't enclose yourself in one place at one time. And So once I started my business, I was able to find all the ways to make it creative and interesting. And because, yeah, you could still go to one bar, but I was like, no, I can go everywhere. Yeah.
And what are you yourself and your business focused on right now?
Well, it is slow season. So for all bartending, between, okay, December's still slow, but you still have your New Year's, right? You still have your holiday parties. But the second January and February comes around until it's playoffs. And, you know, before all the sports events, there's nothing going on. And a lot of us use our savings, honestly, to get through because it's so slow, because it's the winter. But hopefully next year, we're going to get into more corporate events. We definitely have been doing it. Weddings, I want to get a little more extensive into it, larger ones. And I actually did the MLB week. I was doing the tents and I was working with the city. So the city and I are actually working to do a little more, maybe getting some more public spots out there with tents. And we were talking about doing the ice skating rink one, decided to pass on it. But next year there might be some more community outreaches and parties and just kind of getting little city nooks back together again.
And what's your future vision for your company?
Ooh, I would like to expand it to a few more states, I think. I am in the Pacific Northwest, so I can still send employees to like Portland or Coeur d'Alene. So we get out there. I do actually a fair amount of Portland events, but I would like to get a little farther. I'd love to Hawaii. I'm looking in. I actually am. I'm looking at Hawaii. That would be great to do during the slow season. And if I really can, then I would kind of personally would like to be more of the like a celebrity bartender. So the yacht side is looking pretty good. And again, there's always yacht season. So yacht season, there's like 2 yacht seasons. And if I can fill in the gaps for winter for yacht season, it's just so much fun. You know, you're on a boat and when you have your days off, they're amazing. You're like on vacation and the people want a lot, but they pay a lot. So you just do it and the money's great. And you're never bored. I think that's where it just comes down to is I always want to feel like I'm either getting educated with something or entertained with something else or the creativity part. So it's usually one of those 3 or all of them.
Natasha, talk about the pros and cons of having your own business.
Oh my gosh, paperwork. Yeah, you got to make sure you're on point. It's not easy. You have to do your own your own work to try to find everything. I really do hope I could get a little larger where I can like afford a true accountant who I can just send everything off to. Otherwise, because I hate sitting at a computer, which is again why I never had an office job. So I have to revert to that point a little bit and be on a computer. Again, I'm an in-person person. So if I do have to do something via email instead of talking on the phone or seeing someone in person, it can be a little more challenging, at least for me. And then some people want answers really fast. They're used to these large companies that never sleep, right? So
everyone cannot be Amazon.
Oh, exactly.
Everyone cannot be Amazon.
Yes, I know, joke. So my business card has been floating around. I will get text message at 11 o'clock at night. And then they'll be like, no joke, an hour later, question mark, because I didn't get back to them. I'm shutting my business off. Okay, maybe at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. But if you're texting me after 9 p.m. and expecting an answer, I can't do it. I'm only human. And then I think the other hardest part is a lot of my events are on Saturdays, and that's when everyone first gets their day off. So Saturdays are my busiest day. I have no life on Saturdays, any Saturday. So I have to do emails in the morning right when I get up, and then I usually have 1 to 3 events to prep for. So between those 2 things, or really 4 things, I can't breathe. I have no time.
So how do you do your schedule? I'm guessing you take a couple of days off.
Yeah.
Week.
Yeah. So I have a really good bartender's week or weekend, I should say. So it's great when you can be a bartender from Wednesday to Saturday or Tuesday to Saturday, and then have Sunday, Monday, or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off. That's kind of like the ideal schedule. My Sunday events are 50-50. So my Sundays are here and there. And then Mondays, I'm always off. Tuesdays, usually off. And then I go back to the grind.
People don't realize how great it is, like do errands and stuff during the week, right?
Yes.
No one's there. Of course, Costco's always busy. But
Yeah.
most other places, like there's no one there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's way better than doing something on Saturday, right?
And a lot of like when you're going out and enjoying yourself, one, it's not going to be busy because let's say you go on a Sunday night or Monday night. Monday night is typically industry night because that's when most of them are off. And then so when you do go out somewhere, that's when you find everyone you know. You go to that bar where everyone else is off, and you're not getting any. We call it amateur hour sometimes when you get some drinkers that are new, and you don't see any of that on Mondays. You see that on the weekends. Yeah. So, and no crowds. It's easy.
So, Natasha, is there something I should have asked you that I didn't, or anything else you want to talk about?
Not that I can think of. I am having a great time.
Cool. All right. So, you gave a lot of value. Can you give us any last minute advice or wisdom, or anything you want to talk about?
Take care of you. You are number one. I understand trying to keep the peace or, trying to help people, make people happy. But once you try to allot your time to do that, but make sure you give time for yourself. Your mental stability is super important. I have definitely worked myself many, many hours where I should have had a breakdown. I really should have. And somehow I just figured it out, took some time off. Do what makes you happy. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I hate hearing the saying, oh, well, find a job that doesn't feel like work. I kind of did find that though. And I know it's out there for a lot of people. And of course, again, like I was saying, I still have to do computer work. I have to do things I don't like to do. But in the end, in the long run, it's enriching to my life in a sense. And as a very social person, I like to keep that. And as growing older, I don't ever want to lose that because I see how some people, when they shut off and away from the community, they just kind of get in their little hole. And so I think it is get over that hump or that challenge of what you're comfortable in. And once you get over it, you feel freer. And I think that's kind of the roundabout to it. And find whatever you're doing. Of course, you have to survive, but find a place and a path that can still make you happy. And it's not going to come easy. It's not going to come fast. And I know there's people older than me that this has happened to. And I'm 40. I took a long time to find this, and I still know I have a long way to go to get somewhere where I feel that my business is a working organism, I guess. And I don't have to be the only one really in charge.
Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you.
So, can you give us your social media so people reach out to you?
Yes. So Instagram's the best way. And it's PNW, just like Pacific Northwest, .bar.events.
Like, suppose someone wants to do business with you. Just go to Instagram, or how's that work?
The other one would be the website, and you can get my email or get an estimate. And it's just pnwbar.com. So it's super easy.
So how do you decide how to work with someone? Is it just based on money, or like?
It's really who can get me first.
Okay.
I have a few employees as well. So typically I can do up to 3 events depending on how large they are, up to 10 employees. And it also depends on like how much time we have. So if you tell me 3 months ahead compared to 2 weeks ahead,
way better. Way better.
Yeah. If it's last minute, sometimes I just can't staff it. And if you want me personally, of course, that's a whole nother thing. So
boom, 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 boom. I want some motherfucking money.
But again, like it's been so fun. People again have either requested me over and over again, or their friends and their friends, and so you just get this community and repeat people. And it's a party, but yes, I'm still responsible.
Yeah,
it's just a nice balance.
It's a good mix, right?
Exactly.
Gotta be personable. We can't drink. It'll be good time. Yeah,
exactly.
And Natasha, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
And to our listeners, thank you for your time as well. Remember to be great every day.
Thank you. Cheers.